All right, everybody, it's our Clow here, and I'm lucky enough to be talking tonight with Citizen of Gotham, old friend, brother of mine here in the treacherous realm that is YouTube, but joined by a very good man tonight. So thank you very much for doing this live talk with me.
Namaste, brother. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it, and it's my honor.
So Citizen, just real quick, you want to give a little introduction of yourself in case anybody's not familiar with you? I'm terrible at hype in general, so if you want to give that a shot.
Well, like you, we both are gematrians, and you're a little more in depth with the tarot cards and also numerology. I delve in that as well, but we're like minds. We had our talks in the past on the channel, so we have like minds in what we're doing, and just trying to put out what our findings, and not really trying to brainwash anyone. Just saying this is what we found, and take it or leave it, basically.
That's right. Two real dudes just sifting through the madness, I guess.
Yep, that was a good one.
So I want to play this clip real quick. I want to see if we can get this going here. There's so much interesting stuff I kind of want to just talk about tonight, but this clip from Full Metal Jacket really just sums so many things up. I'm going to pause it in a couple places here because there's some things I want to note, and not enough people have really seen the movie, or at least all the way through. Yeah. For those not familiar, this is the ending of Full Metal Jacket here. We play fair and we work hard and we're in harmony. M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Forever let us hold our banner high, 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 high. Boys and girls from far and near, you're welcome as can be. M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. Who's the leader of the club that's made for you?
My thoughts drift back to erect nipple wet dreams about Mary Jane Rottencrotch and the great homecoming fuck fantasy.
It's nice 11 back here at the towers.
In one piece and short.
Unfortunately, it froze.
Did it really?
Yeah, it started to go. And then
Is none of this coming through?
No, just the volume's coming through nicely, but the picture.
Just the volume, no picture at all.
Yep.
All right.
Maybe you can take a screenshot. You think a screenshot if you take a screenshot and then I don't know, maybe that won't.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, there it goes. Now you can see it. Now you can see it.
You got it.
You can see it. Oh, now it's moving. Yeah, now you can see it. That was weird.
All right. So just in time for the ending there. Very perfect though. But so in any case, is it up there? Can you see it?
Yes.
There is just this nice 11 all throughout this back here. And just the number, that is just really worth pointing out in the end of this here. I mean, another just very great war movie about, Vietnam, and, all the movies in this vein just being so apocalyptic in the themes. And then having this supreme, number of what a lot of people feel to be, dark energy hanging out in the back there as they're singing the Mickey Mouse theme song. And there's just this crazy thing, and I'll just pop it up here. Let me see if I can get you to a screen where you can kind of see some of this.
Those are two buildings in the back supposed to be?
What's that?
Are those supposed to be two buildings, fallen buildings in the back?
Yeah.
Look like smaller towers from 9/11.
Exactly. And so let me see if I can get my whole screen up here for you. Now, does this go all crazy when I do this?
Yeah, it's going within itself. Never ending, cascading.
All right, so I can only share one of my Word documents at a time then. Can you see that?
Yes.
So there's just this crazy thing I was looking through the Book of Thoth, and on page 131, they're talking about this, the day of be with us, spelled out just like I have it there.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to me in the Jewish value, because you have that 1888. So of course the year that the Washington Monument's completed.
Of course.
55, right? Foot fucking obelisk.
Yeah. Triple A.
And I mean, look how they have this, the MIC, the Military Industrial Complex, AEY. Their MO, right, is to USC, you and me. And I just thought that was so phenomenal. And of course, then the English and Simples there following up Dante's Divine Comedy. And of course, Barack Hussein Obama Jr. all the way out there. And of course, him recently referencing the Inferno at his last little dinner there. But I mean, all of that just really blows my mind to see how it comes up again.
Yeah, that's crazy. The way you broke that down. Wow. Shit.
All this pop goes the weasel madness. I was thinking recently, because I was, I've gotten hit with just this slew of comments lately, and a lot of, anytime you have a big video and it's in this kind of vein that we do, you get a lot of criticism, and that's, I guess, putting it very lightly.
I was just gonna say you're putting it
very but along with that, occasionally, right, you get people who are genuinely very interested in the information and want to learn much more about it. And so I was talking with somebody, and he was asking about the symbolism of the V. About, because it's just this really huge point that we've been talking on. And let me see if I can get this up here. But I thought it was really interesting. If I can you, what do you, am I on my screen now? Can you see these comments?
Yep.
Okay. So let me scroll down here.
By the way, can you hear me okay? Is my voice all messed up?
Yeah, I can hear you great. But so we were talking about how, right, V is this very interesting letter. And let's see, here we go. And I was talking about the connections between, right, the powerful deities from Greek and Egyptian mythology. But the bit about Typhon and how he's buried underneath of Mount Etna, I'm not sure exactly on that pronunciation there, but in any case, that being, right, associated with all these ideas of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes with his movements, V sign, the peace sign, just giving all of that energy to him. But in any case, just pulling this up on the side here so that people, right, not familiar with this story can kind of see some more of the information there. But Mount Etna, I figured if this is where he's buried, there would have to be some significance to that location, right? And to just that mountain in general.
Of course.
And so in looking into it a bit, and really just looking at the letters, that M and E, the 13th and 5th, there's that 135 we're always talking about on the channel here. And of course, it's so interesting because if you mirror that number as the 531 and you add them and you get that 666, it's really interesting for this isolation here that, you have the inversion of that, the 999, which a lot of people would argue is even more significant than the 666.
That's true, yeah.
And so just very, right? And so very interesting in that, but let me see, let's pull this. All
well, the
right,
funny
so
thing
then,
in the news, just for 1 second, the news is, recently, I guess it was like a week ago, Typhoon. in the Philippines.
Yeah,
They were working
that
off.
was an excellent video.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks. So they were working off this. What
working
your findings, what you're talking about. They obviously did a spin off the name Typhon. They took it off Typhoon. It's a relevate. You know, it's correlated also with relevation, all that shit. But anyway.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I thought that was, what day was that on? Do you remember?
I'll tell you 1 second. No, it was about a month ago.
Oh, and they were just then reporting on it.
Yeah, November 25th. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong thing. God damn it. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. My fault. Sorry.
No worries.
Hey, the hell is it? I just saw it. I just checked and was looking at it. What the hell? Oh, it was 5 days ago. Sorry, 5 days ago.
Oh, so it was on. Okay, so they had a nice Christmas storm.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, just out of nowhere, just like right out of the Book of Revelation, and then you're talking about this God's name, the deity Typhon. It's crazy. It's just the same thing.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's been a really big, even at the Olympics this year, the theme was peace, wasn't it? That was like the big like halftime bit, and they've got all these peace signs, and of course that being connected to the cross of Nero, inverted regular cross with the broken arms there. But so interesting stuff on this is the Word document up.
Yep.
With the coding there, I mean, just breaking down those numbers, being able to get that 99. But what really just, I mean, it's just so wild to me is this high by the beach coding that comes up with it. Because just staying in step with all of these V's, let me pull up this other set of, so here you have the promo shot for High by the Beach.
Interesting. Nice
gigantic V in the telescope there.
Yep.
Right? And then it's just nuts because if we were to kind of read this as, I mean, we can even get that 515 because we've got this nice bit coming down here. And we can get that 1 and then her necklace making another V.
Yeah.
Complementing that all the way across. And of course, High by the Beach, where the hell is a typhoon coming from?
The Philippines.
But it just, so let's see if I can pull this other side up over here. I really wish it would just let me share my entire screen so I wouldn't have to keep just super toggling here. One Word document at a time. Oh, not that one. Okay, well, it only wants to let me open this one. All right, how's that?
Yep.
Is that both?
I see just one.
Just the one. Damn it. Does that say master copy 3 at the top?
Yes.
All right, sweet. All right, so High by the Beach is that English and simple value there, the 666 and the 111, which is just crazy.
Yeah, the affinity, yeah.
Right? Because that was coming up for everything earlier here. Let's see if this is, I have this typed in right. About that.
Oh, David Blaine, right? Yeah. David Blaine.
I'm just having a hell of a time here. There we go. But so the full on just 666 and 111, all this stuff that we're talking about this year, the formation song, this whole iconoclast thing. I know, you know, I never got too deep into the Pizzagate. But it was interesting to me that it had that coding, the 666, 111.
Isn't the Pizzagate is about the child pedophilia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed that everybody seemed to be getting really just kind of in a tither about it. Is it right? If it's this real thing, why would they bring it up? And I don't know. I never, I never really looked into it, to be honest.
Yeah, I just
heard. Mm-hmm. And then, but anyways, with that Seth Rogen in there, and so why I wanted to get all that in there, and coming around to Seth Rogen, a Tina one now.
No, I'm still 3.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. So back to the Mount Tina coding. And anyways, same Jewish as High by the Beach. But I thought it was really weird because Selma Hayek comes up. She did a voice in that Sausage Party movie that just came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had a chance to see that. But it is a really bizarre and kind of surreal movie.
Well, from what I saw clips or the trailer, and I know it's about food and it's very phallic and sexual. From the trailer, I got very satanistic. I was like, ooh. I was like, what the fuck? But maybe I'm high. Maybe
so
I'm
that's
wrong.
what. No, I mean that's totally what it's kind of, I feel, masked as.
Yeah, because I saw like the hot dog, and they had the look like a dick and balls. They had things that look like asses and breasts and stuff. And I'm like, am I the only one who sees this is completely sexual? Like they're playing this off as
right, super vulgar.
Yeah, super vulgar. Yeah.
And would make most people just turn away because like, why the fuck am I going to watch that?
Yeah. And it's marketed to kids.
It kind of reminds me of like what they did with Crowley and a lot of other occultists, where they presented in this overly sexualized way, super vulgar, nothing that anybody would ever want to give a chance.
That's right.
If you look at it, there's some really brilliant shit going on. And it's just crazy here because right for Sausage Party, you have the Illuminati comes up, purpose plan, sacred lessons, vital secrets, all these things.
Yep.
And I really want to just pull up this, I managed to snag some screenshots and the ending to the movie. So they start to break the fourth wall, which is right, always interesting.
Yes.
But what kind of just takes it to the next level here is they have this fucking toilet portal.
Oh, looks like a vagina. A vajayjay.
They have their own little CERN.
Yeah,
and it's just the crazy. There's even a Twinkie that is talking about this with them. And just thinking back to all that Ghostbusters stuff where they're connecting it in.
Yeah.
But so they go into this vortex of the unknown at the end of this just totally bizarre movie. That's just, it kind of, it was even giving South Park, I feel, a run for its money as far as just, how far can we insult these different groups to show, these just basic areas where they won't cooperate and communicate to live harmoniously. All these petty differences that they're so insistent upon, letting rule their perception of how things should be. And so that it's at the end of this here, right before they go into this portal, there's a giant orgy. And that's where
they took that.
They got them. Yeah. The majority of the trailer there, but right, so much of this stuff with sex magic, and of course, just you really get into reading some of this stuff, and people eating, the actual excrement. But then, of course, right, with the toilet being the thoughts. Is that just me seeing that? Or is it?
You can go on. There's tons of stuff. I mean,
that shit is
cosmos or something. That looks like the cosmos. It looks like an eye. It looks like it's fractaling. Looks like an oculus. Looks like the eye. Looks like the eye of Horus. Looks like go to the light before you die. To me, it symbolizes all that shit at once.
Yeah. And I mean, they're you know, they're constantly getting baked throughout the movie. It's just important to, because I mean, just again, making all of that, you know, very normal, you know, kind of just way of seeing things and being able to understand them right. They've even got a big, you know, kind of running line in there where this guy's smoking bath salts.
Oh,
And he's through, through smoking the bath salts, he's actually able to communicate with the food. And of course, just all the, you know, weird shit that you could imagine coming out of that. But in any case, right, back to the all this weird coding. It's weird. This firewater guy, the little can of gasoline there that was showing him at 6:30 and that 105. If I would have known that I had to toggle between every single screen, I'd have put these together here. Because that comes up with stuff like 9/11. Pull this up here. You got that on your side? Oh, it's still the Aetna one, isn't it?
No, it's master copy.
Is it?
Yes.
All right. Simple. All right. So that 6:30 and the 105 for firewater there, and right, because the connections to just the phrasing 9/11, sudden death, vitriol, huge, the cliff off, of course. But also really interestingly, you have that gun smoke, which was just so interesting because in the season 27 Treehouse of Horror, you have that weird shot at the end. Maggie is actually right shooting a gun underwater at the same time it says, you know, your next gun smoke on the screen there, and I'll pull that up here. But I really wanted to see, because same value as this Barack and Deborah stuff right here.
Here's a Barack and Deborah. Oh yeah.
Let me see if I can. So there's this stuff right here. Now let me toggle back. Right. Let me do this. Is that interesting shot? And so I thought that was definitely a veiled hint right there. And this whole Barack and Deborah bit was from when I was looking into the Larry Gonick cartoon history of the universe. And you've got this really interesting section right here, page 166, of course, but where you have Judgment Days at the top. And this woman saying, right, arise, Barack, arise. Each of those words 5 letters, so there's that 555, and right, ABA's 121 is that Antichrist coding. And so that was just, it's really interesting to see that coming up, because that's the same as that firewater can. Just trying to put together how on earth that could be. I don't know. Of something, I suppose. But yeah, I'm just kind of over the place here because I just this together. So interesting. But when we were talking a little bit beforehand, I was saying I wanted to look into this whole "be with us" thing.
Oh yeah.
Because right, there's I guess a lot of speculation about that Economist cover. And
this year?
Yeah, I guess the past several years.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tarot one in particular. And of course you have the Magis card appearing on there, and that's something that we talked about a lot on here, but in looking into some of the supplementary material in the Book of Thoth, on that card, expanding on it, on page 131, they have this whole idea of the day of be with us, right? And that being this kind of cleansing of things and just kind of return to balance or the silence, however you want to look at it. But so one of the things I was talking about a lot in that Yellowstone video was all this 253 coding that was coming up. Everything from, right, the Economist cover literally is a 253 if we reduce it down to Yellowstone caldera to the Windy City. But be with us, right? BWU is the same thing. It gives us that 253 or 352. And I did think it was interesting that we had that year's strongest earthquake on the 17th, which was that 352. There's definitely more there. So in looking into the day, right, or excuse me, just the phrasing of be with us there, we get this 11-pointed star, which is always interesting because think about the Statue of Liberty and how it rests upon that the 11-pointed star. And thinking back even to the beginning, right, with the 11s in the back of that scene.
Full Metal Jacket.
And just again, right, number of points on the Cliff-Oth, and it's even just, even in the word itself, it's coded for its own number. E is the 5th letter, and it's a 6-letter word. So 6 and 5 for that nice 11.
Yep.
Every time we're looking, at the 515, from the Dante coding adds to 11, and on with all these things. But so I was curious about the days that started to come up then with the coding, because you get, right, July 9th, which is the 190th day of the year, the 175 to go. And always just interesting, right, to look at those actual values. But I thought it was crazy because, right, it's the same as stuff like the United States and Rosicrucian Order, as well as 111. Bring us back to, right, all of the coding for, Rogan and Illusion, Mark of Beast, the 666, 111 stuff. But no, you also...
Did you see that? You have highlighted bold the Disneyland correlation with that quote.
Oh yeah, when it's in the full out coding down here, the day of be with us. It just the MIC, right, military industrial complex, and it is interesting. I do have that information right down here if you actually just look into military industrial complex. And it's interesting to me, these references to the sea, and there's always this talk of giant creatures from the sea. You do wonder what on earth they have underneath there, waiting to U.S. government, the aliens, the holy virus, something I've really been wondering about. Idea of vaccines being the mark of the beast. But then, of course, all this just crazy down here, right? Organizations of global umbrella, as well as this idea of science fiction is really truth. And yeah, just all these interesting things. Because we're talking about the Washington Monument earlier, but you can see the English value for the MIC is that the George Washington National Masonic Memorial was completed in 1932, and then the difference between those, that nice 44.
When was Disney founded?
I don't I don't rightfully know off the top of my head. I feel like it was sometime in the early 20s.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be. I mean, it's, you know, Disney's just, it's like, it's so interesting. Okay, so October 16th, 1923.
19.
Yeah, interesting day for sure there. And it's weird too, this, if we were to just take MIC apart and look at its Jewish value, it's 42. Yeah, and so, you know, we talked a lot about that being this cursed number, you know, coming up in these texts. And one of the chapters I've kind of been looking for an excuse to talk about is this one in particular, Dust Devils. So, you know, again, we get that nice 4-4 from those D's there. But this Jewish value, right, that 1222, got that nice 1 times the 222 and can read all the things into that, but the same as Simpsons roasting on an open fire, which, right, so interesting because premiered on December 17th, 7 leap years ago, all of that fun stuff. But, you know, part of, you know, why I was really was going to be something lending into that further, because December 17th was also the day in 1938 that the announcement of nuclear was announced using uranium. And right, 1938 it's the same as love is the law, love under will. And so just, you know, wild to think about with that. You know, also with that Simpsons roasting on an open fire is where they get their dog, Santa's little helper. And of course, right, Santa, that nice anagram for Satan. Right, each Santa's little helper is each 6 letters, so you have another 666 there. And then if we reduce those down to SLH, that's a nice 138. One of the things I've been talking about a lot on this channel is, right, that Misfits song, We Are 138, because on the cover of that little EP it's on, you have Kennedy's brains getting blown out. Yeah, right, it's very interesting that they would do that. And then just taking it one step further with the damn dog, right, and of course dog and anagram for God. His English and simple values are the same as 510 and 5, that apocalyptic number. And then so with that as well, you have reference to the aeon of adjustment. Again, just this idea of bringing everything back to balance. But I do think about, you know, how it comes up here, you know, the nuclear consciousness. And just thinking about what The Simpsons has done as far as kind of bringing that into the public's mind. And really in an interesting way, right? Because Homer's incredibly incompetent. And you're kind of, I don't know, just waiting for so many things. But in any case, here with this Dust Devils, this whole idea of the Rapture Day comes, Congress, but the English and simple values, right, just really interesting because there's that 135 for the simple value again. And I mean, that number again and again, I mean, even with this Aaron Sorkin and Will McAvoy thing, it's the right creator of the newsroom and then the main character, and which again is 135. And it just goes on and on with these things. But of course, you know, tying back to all the stuff with Ralph Wiggum, thelemic order, right, everything just boldened out there. But just really heavy hitting numbers. Even this Via Finita, the comedy is finished, right, from looking at all that Luciano Pavarotti research that I was doing a while ago. But, you know, just so very interesting just thinking about that role of the comedian in all of this. You know, even if we tie it back to Full Metal Jacket, the main character, Joker. And, you know, even just thinking in another, you know, apocalyptic thread, the actual graphic novel for the Watchmen.
Mm.
Right, which you have the comedian is this just very interesting character throughout.
Well, as you know that statement. There's a truth, or always truth in jest. So
That's right.
it's a good way to make.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And it resonates, I feel, in an entirely different way.
Oh yeah.
When you're able to do it successfully.
Yes.
But so, just jumping back up to this, just the original "be with us" phrasing here, to look at, and there's some interesting dates. May 11th, which is the 131st day, which is interesting because, right, this is talked about on page 131 in the Book of Thoth. And so just really interesting how that works out. And of course, right, 5th month, 11th, that nice 55 we can get. Even this sweet 234, if we mirror and add, it's a nice 666. Super interesting day. But where you have this right here, this delete America June 3rd, because June 3rd in 2013 is when the Seth Rogen movie "This Is the End" came out. And so "This Is the End" has the same values as the bullet catch. And again, something that I've been looking into, in the past couple of videos here. But, TBC, that nice, inverted 322. But having those same values as the killing name, Satan and Moloch, C, mark of beast, which if we did that right would pull up Seth Rogen, because he has that 666 111 coding. And it's also referenced to the Holy Grail and Barack Obama revealed. But so what's so interesting then is, right, with all of that kind of in mind, and for the Jewish value for the bullet catch, just to throw that out there, there's reference to human sacrifices, as well as conquered death, and it all falls into place, as well as almighty trumpet, all these critical things. But so June 3rd this year is 207 days after Trump was announced president on the 9th of November. And so that 207 is just super interesting because that's the same simple value as 100 and 106. And it's also the same as the number of the beast, the New World Order, a whole bunch of critical things. But of course that and 156, the number of the Scarlet Woman, that Crowley designates in Book of Lies. You still there, brother?
I got to look up more of that. Delete America June 3rd. That's crazy.
Okay, you still there?
Yeah. No, I was just looking at the stuff. I was just thinking. I was just
okay. I was like,
thinking.
Oh shit, I lost him.
No. I was thinking, and I was just looking at your findings. I was like, wow, June 3rd. And you said that was 2013.
Yes, when This Is the End came out. And then so looking at it this year, 10 days in between there, and just looking at all that Scarlet Woman coding. I mean, that just really fascinated me, because let me toggle the screen here so I can get my this master copy up. All right, there's that with her. But again, all of this, you have it fully written out: the mark of the beast, I am the Antichrist, working Babylon, right, rising of the dead. And of course, always interesting, the references to 4th of July. Yep. Just always with the 11. that, you know, nice 4 and 7 there.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of this Scarlet Woman coding, and of course this got cut off in the video because we're talking about this, right, simple value of the 144 and things again, Mark of the Beast coming up, but this whole 6 of Hearts idea and what it has to do with David Blaine messing up that magic trick, and that being, right, referential to, I mean, because
it was a purposeful mistake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't, you know, at all fit. But so, you know, even with this, you know, coding coming up, I Want You Gaga, you know, in that video for Perfect Illusion that she did, she's got the jacket with the nice 47 on it.
Nice.
And so just hailing right back to that, Trauma Room 1, of course, is where Kennedy was pronounced dead. And, you know, if we invert that 144, right, it throws us back to Tom Donovan and Lady Gaga. But let me see. Shouldn't be. I wanted to point out that it comes up for the Magus as well, since this is the card that the supplementary material for Be With Us is coming from. And so again, just seeing how all of this just can connect right back. And again, it's these ideas of MK Ultra, kill and not be seen, especially big for, right, Tom Donovan, because that's that whole premise in Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Of course, so you have it for Lady Gaga as well.
Also, the forehead to be sealed is interesting.
Yes. Yeah, the whole, I mean, it's just such a, I mean, heavy hitting number, because, you know, even just looking at 144 more, the 144 years that we're talking about in the video with Yellowstone. And then that's the actual number for Lisa the Iconoclast as well.
Remember how we were mentioning time before?
Yes.
Yeah, time sums to 144.
Nice.
I thought you'd like that. Yeah, I thought.
I mean, it's such a big, right, deal number in all of this, because even if we look at, right, the ES values here for Lisa the Iconoclast, I mean, reference to Donald John Trump, as well as this whole concept of, right, the masterpiece ion, the 9 Years War. And, you know, and it was just crazy when you had sent me the thing talking about the new Blade Runner movie.
Yeah.
Taking place in the year 2049.
Yep.
Because, you know, it's when that war, you know, in Brave New World is said to have began, when translated over to the Gregorian calendar. It's just really interesting, right, to see, I don't know, just how all of that just keeps coming across here.
Well, it's all interrelated, as you know. But
also, yeah, just
I was going to say the English value that you have, the 1,110. You can. That's also a correlation with if you just, you know, you omit the 0, as you know, you just go to the 111. That correlates with the 66111 666 111 affinity you were talking about before.
Totally.
With Seth Rogen, I think. See, I'm listening.
And right, and again, with all these things tying us back to Lady Gaga's Perfect Illusion.
Yeah.
And right, that just kind of being supreme, I guess, overriding concept is that that's, right, what this whole world is. Even if we were, you know, talking about, you know, again, just the supplementary material for the Magus card, and this phrase "Be With Us" is coming out of a section called the Lord of Illusion. And so, right, just again and again, how it just is so, because I guess, I don't know, when it ties conceptually as well, I feel like it resonates differently. like that's kind of why I try to keep track of these as best as I can, because it's I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's this whole evolving storyline where you've got your baseline and you're just trying to work out towards the end game here and use all these pieces. But just really, because here's one more, with the judgment / the star there, because that's from if we were looking at that Economist cover, those are the two cards that are tilted. And so, right, very interesting, because again, all these things that we're talking about and all these lyrics from songs, these episodes of The Simpsons, The War, it's just really, I feel, especially looking at the Jewish value up top there. You got volcanic eruption, National Dog Show, right? The winner this year, a greyhound named Gia, and it was her 44th win.
Nice.
Just can't.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, that whole cover is just off the wall, because right, it says Planet Trump on there. 11 letters. It's that lust card, but the simple value is 156. And it just brings it back and back to these cards. And again, that June 3rd being the 207th day this year, or excuse me, being 207 days after Trump was announced president, has that coding of 156. And so, wow, it's but it's, a lot of people talk about, when they're, there's so much information that stacks up and it seems really compelling, but, nothing comes from it, or at least not of the caliber that is kind of forecasted. And they'd say it's fear porn or misleading or divisive in some way. But I mean, it always amazes me, because I just don't ever feel that's an intention that comes across, when these videos are being presented. Especially in just saying this is, relative to what I'm seeing, and just more, just so interesting.
Yeah. Well, you talked about June 3rd. You just mentioned June 3rd, right? Well, as you know, you could see that as 63, or 6 and 3, so 63. 63 is like dead end, which is kind of what you're talking about. Also, 11 sums to 63 as well, which is huge for what you were talking about.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That's insane.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Just buttresses it even more. That's all. Just everything buttresses what your findings. It's the more you find, the more it just supports what you're finding.
And only when because I mean, you've spent a lot of time doing this sort of research as well, and that if the connection's not there, it's not there.
That's right. Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, oh well, you're manipulating the numbers, or you're this, or you're that. And not at all.
Do you find not to cut you off, but I wanted to ask you, do you find when the things are like, when the connection's not there, like when you do it and you start, immediately, like you start doing stuff within a couple of minutes, you're like, oh wow, or it's like 30 seconds, but when you work on it for like 10-15 minutes, then hey, this is not one of those things, or you don't get that. Yeah. Okay.
And you drop it.
Yeah. You're just like, this is nothing, or it's not what it might be.
It's an interesting, thing to just, oh, well, I learned something from that research, but relevant towards, what I'm, building here. Yeah. And, always here with this whole taking it one step further, third is 135 days after Trump will be inaugurated. And so there's just that nice 135 just again everywhere.
And he gets inaugurated like February 7th or something like that.
Or the inauguration is January, or yeah, January 20th.
January 21. Oh, that's 120.
Uh,
Oh, it is January. No, I thought it was. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm thinking of something else. All right.
and it's interesting because that the 135, if you actually spell it out, it is the same coding as Kill Trump, as well as the Rapture, Hidden Message, all these other interesting things.
Oh shit.
And of course, even that 120, right, that we can get from looking at the January 20th date there. You know, one of the things I've been talking a lot about is that House Resolution 642, the magic bill.
Yeah, I remember.
And the mayor of Wiley, Texas, the Eric Hogue guy, in a magic club himself, and there's 120 members in that club. And so really interesting because, right, 120 is Illuminati and the architect, as well as living legend, cellular device. It's the same coding as 4.
Huh?
It's the same as 4 as well.
Yep.
And really interesting, it's the same as Hic et Ubique, that here and everywhere in Latin for the Pilgrim Society. And just a really interesting organization that I've been looking into. You know, just finding out that, you know, all of the royal family are made honorary members, you know, of this really far-reaching. Let me see if I can pull this up over here. At least see the coding for this group. Is that up?
Yes.
So again, all that Hic et Ubique stuff, the 120 hanging out there, but seeing just the here and everywhere translated, just this whole new world order, right, just flat out there. But just such an interesting group.
So not to interrupt you, said 49 days in between 6/11 and 7/29. 49 is Skull and Bones, with the exceptions.
Yeah, and that the 49 really is, I don't know. There's a Simpsons episode, and the title of it was like How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Gambling, something along those lines. But a mock-up of How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. And in any case, in the beginning, they've got these random like newsreels, like a kind of old-timey newsreel mock-up going. And they drop a nuclear bomb. And it's prefaced current events. Anyways, they drop a nuclear bomb, soldier drops dead. And then there's this train that's coming towards this family, watching it on the television. And on the front of the train is the number 49.
Yep.
And, you know, the extent of, I feel like, the importance of railroads and just trains, you know, in an occult sense is really hard to overstate.
Oh yeah, 49 is a huge number. And
yeah,
you know, sorry to interrupt. Just off the railroad comment, what you're talking about is Vanderbilt. You know, Cooper. He's the Vanderbilt. His great grandfather ran. He has the railroads. He brought the railroads here. He owned all the railroads.
And that's always troubling anytime, you know, right? There's that huge monopoly on that.
Oh yeah. He owned it all. He was the sole owner, this motherfucker. Sole owner. Sorry to curse, but yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Something Vanderbilt. I forgot his name. He's got like 3 names or something. I did a whole thing on that shit, and they were all related. But yeah, the railroad. That's, you know, he was a Freemason, satanic Freemason. 49 is like, yeah, like I said, Skull and Bones. It's also Revelation. It's also Satanists. It's also Bald Eagle, like America. Also in 1776. So it's got its stuff to Scottish Rite, satanic Freemason, Satanism, and railroads, as you were talking about. 49 is a big number.
Yeah, and it like right, and I think Trump train as well.
Wow, Trump train. That's amazing.
Because that's a big thing that people have brought up. Can you see? Is that on the screen, or which one do you see?
Where is it? I see the Be With Us.
Okay, let me flop over here really quick. But yeah, I mean, Trump train, right? The TT, the 22, both those 5-letter words. So there's that pulled up now.
22 is a Satanist as well. You got it again. Nice one.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it never stops.
That's right. Yeah. That's why I was asking you, like, when you first do it, it just unfolds and you just kind of go with it. It's a weird feeling, right? It's kind of I don't know how to explain it. It's
It is
exciting, I guess,
surreal.
in a way. Yeah, it's surreal. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah, it is surreal. Yeah.
And so it's crazy, right? That Trump train is the same Jewish value as the letter V.
It has to do with, as well as, the beast, devil, fifth age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, sorry, I'm not trying to patronize you when I say I know you know.
No, you're not. I'm just excited to be able to agree.
Yeah. Okay. That was good. I know what you mean. That was a good answer.
But yeah, what I was talking about with the guy in the comment that I was hoping to pull up, but the V, I was looking into what is the right standard angle for it. And it says it's a 45-degree angle. So of course, Trump being the 45th president is interesting with that. And then just thinking about all these ideas of mirrors, right? Because that's what the letter is essentially, is just a mirror of that diagonal line. And we could get that 99 if we wanted to add them as such. But it's just so interesting, right? Because coding for all of that, it gets marked back to C, the masterpiece ion. And that just jumps us at Donald John Trump and the judgment, the star, and foretold by the Bible, all of that craziness. There's the masterpiece ion. That's what they're telling us to seek out there.
And the Book of Revelation. No, what is it? Yeah, the Book of Revelation.
So let me see. Let me pull this back. So I guess again, just still on this Be With Us. The English in simples, man. English of 642, that's the House resolution for the magic bill. And if we mirror and add that, it's a 888. And we can look at that, that's the same coding as David Blaine White. And the English 642 is the same as bullet catch in 515.
It's just coincidence.
Really?
It's just coincidence. It's all it is. You know that.
Right?
Yeah.
And seeing suicide seal come up. Because all throughout that Beyond Magic special he just did, Buddy, Aussie Wind is, saying, that's exactly what this is. And, it's just this dangerous, right, shooting that comes up here. And of course, we just loop all this back. You see reference to military and Disneyland, which would get us, right back to, this whole, the day of Be With Us, when it's fully out there. And again, just the MIC, Military Industrial Complex, is the KEY. To their MO, was that modus operandi?
Yeah.
Is to USE, you and me. I mean, just it's very that's brilliant.
Yeah, it actually is. Right. And everyone will just say, "Oh, it's a coincidence. And you're on crack, and you have too much time on your hands, and all this bullshit."
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, it's just like, go back to sleep, man. Yeah, it's crazy how coded that is coded with it coded. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Great find. Amazing find.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But like even like right, W23 D4, right? So we got that nice 2 3 4 4 3 2. Yeah. Like it just
Goes
keeps
right
coming
back.
out and out and out. And if I'm not mistaken, that's 216, which is the same as 500, 10, and 5, as well as Santa's Little Helper, all of those things. And so, I mean, yeah, they really, they really want that to be there and resonate. But, again, just that English and simple, but right, just the significance of all of this, right, with these phrases, right, the day of be with us, because in the text, right, it's discussing about how this is the end all be all cleansing of things. And even interesting, right, the same as where the dead come alive, contrary things, which was, right, very interesting because Keenan just put out that book on election day. And so let me pull up these images here. But on the cover there, he just had this brilliant little hidden hand bit going on.
Wow.
Oh, and that was also, right, election day is the same day that Sausage Party movie came out on DVD.
Oh, nice. DVD.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
But just, and to that coding there, that book, his book is 288 pages. If we look at the hidden hand, right, THH is 288. And he just really layers it on. I've talked a lot about his band A Perfect Circle in the past. Because I've always felt that there's just a tremendous amount of value to be gleaned from understanding what he's going over in those lyrics. For recent videos, I was talking about an old Tool song in which they're, is very keenly anticipating the apocalypse because he's just disgusted with everything around him. But so I guess to keep going here, right? Day of be with us, variants. I don't think it's I guess this is where people think it's playing with the numbers. When you write, because just right above here I have the day of be with us, be with us.
That's not playing with the numbers. It's you're adding three more letters and other words. So
right. And so just
playing with the numbers. I don't get that.
Changes it, but keeps it right in line with itself.
Yeah.
But right, super interesting because you get the second coming of Christ or Jesus. And as one of the things I remember that really resonated with me last year during one of the open mics about that actually being a hologram. And then being able to actually remotely influence us to hear things. And really just playing that out. But it's really fascinating because that 177 next door there written out, that's the same simple value as the Scarlet Woman, which is also the same as the mark of the beast and I am the Antichrist. Along the same lines with the rising of the dead. All those things we were looking at earlier.
Yeah.
But just right, because that's what this day is talking about. That's what people feel will come about when Christ is risen. Christ, doing quotes with my fingers.
Yes. The holographic. Right. Yeah. It all says Walter Disney plan. That's crazy. And
yeah.
June 6 at 6. So you got June 6 at 6. So 666.
And right, the unholy government or UN holy government.
Yeah. The dualities of those two. Yeah. All life will be destroyed.
Of course, that veil.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
But so here though, right, with the English and simple values, because the same as this phrase "born to kill peace."
The
And
Joker.
so, yeah, right.
Yeah, Joker.
His helmet, you got
Yeah,
it.
his helmet, yeah, Born to Kill, and then he had the peace sign on his vest. Yeah, got it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I know it. I know what he means. Like, that's a good reference. Yeah.
And that's just crazy.
Yeah.
If I can get this to pull up here, there's also 7 bullets on that helmet. And of course, that just being a massively important number. So there's that. He's born to kill peace.
Yeah.
Of course, everything we were talking about earlier with, right, this being more energy for Typhon.
Yeah.
V sign. Of course, that nice 1:16 minutes, 66.
Yeah.
And look at this. It's a release date of September 11th, 1987
Nice.
in the UK.
Oh, the 116 could be 119 as well. You can invert the 6.
Oh, yeah. Good eye, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Because it's right, it all just starts popping out. And,
it's there, yeah. But it's good when you talk to other people, because other people always see shit you don't see sometimes.
And there's those 2 fucking towers.
Yeah, the mini towers. Flames all about. And smoke and shit, yeah.
As they're singing the Mickey Mouse song.
Yeah. Walter Disney plan. Yeah, Walter Disney plan.
And let's see. Pull back here. All right. So, but again, though, even just having this same value as Salve et Coagula, really major thing here. Right, on the Gotham Indies arms. It's these ideas of entertainment, double P or double 13, all the things we can get out of that. And these lists just go on and on. When we start playing with some of these numbers that come out here, this 165 in particular is one that I've seen come up a lot, because that was the simple value for "I came to slay bitch," right, as well as Yellowstone. A whole bunch of stuff, and it's the same as United Nations, 22, Resurrection, Divide and Conquer, just a better. And again, the ideas of nuclear fission, and over here we have nuclear fusion. But right, again, all of that just utmost importance.
They even have sacred geometry. When I was talking, remember I was talking about that before. We were talking about that. Yeah, crazy. It's funny how that's embedded in it. Amazing.
I mean, because finding like this kind of phrasing here where I haven't seen anybody else looking into this.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like finding a new way to kind of glean into end of day sort of cataclysmic event.
Mm-hmm.
But again, right, MIC with the J value of 42. Of course, Dust Devils being chapter 42 of Book of Lies. But yeah, just so interesting.
Freemasons 42. United States Congress, creator of evil. Nice.
But yeah, all of that just playing through this terrorism. Even looking at this 10 here, I do remember that Del Rey's High by the Beach came out on that day. It's the same birth date of Ricky Smiley, who does the whole, somebody got shot in the eye prank phone call.
Oh shit, no, didn't hear about that. Crazy.
And he was doing a show with Erykah Badu back on June 11th. And it was something that I was putting a lot of energy into looking at, and they actually pulled that video. It was talking a lot about just some weird shit that was going on at the time. Apparently a little too effectively, but yeah, that High by the Beach song came out on August 10th as well, that 810. And again, that having the same coding as, right, 666 and 111. And so just looping us back down that whole rabbit hole. But so just really interesting, of course, every time seeing thelemic order pop up. And again, just this idea of lots of sex, the final step, just thinking back to the sausage party bit. And I mean, really, you know, you look at the world around us, man, and I mean, that's all it really comes down to for most people. I do want to pull up this bit right here, the Lord of Illusion, because I was saying that's what all of this day of Be With Us came from. But right, these references to the trumpet angel, vaccine, Manhattan, New York, mysticism, psychops, Russia bombs Ohio.
That would be funny.
Interesting. That's where Keenan's from. Maynard James Keenan. And so how interesting that would be. But that Ohio, right, if we took the O and reduced it to 6 and 4-letter word, it's the same as Thelema. It's always, right, wondering with that. And then looking here at the ES values, again, just bring us back to all these, right, Beyonce lyrics. I got hot sauce in my bags from the Formation song, right, that has the 666 value for it. And you get with that, right, conspiracy theory. So, January 16th as well, which is interesting, not only in that it's Sade's birthday, but there's that 116 again, just like the length of Full Metal Jacket.
Inverted 9/11, yeah.
And of course, that would be 4 days before Trump's inauguration, and you know, all this stuff coming down to 4, you know, with his coding and the Emperor card, limitation, right? All of that being destroyed because, you know, when I'm most commonly seeing it with him, it's all these reductions of, you know, 13, the death card or transformation card. So reducing it down, you know, I got to wonder, you know, if all of this is, you know, really that intimately connected with the transformation of restriction and limitation, you know, because even going back to the beginning, the Mount Atina stuff, you know, it comes up with the forbidden word, right? For those who, you know, read Crowley's writing, he describes restriction as, right, this incredibly awful concept. It's because of its limiting nature and, right, how it splits us from seeing things divinely enough. But so really interesting though with that 4 just always popping up. And again, just these whole, right, because everybody is just waiting for a financial crisis, something, you know, some sort of economic meltdown. And again, though, this whole reference here to the Large Hadron Collider, and thinking back to that, you know, the bizarre ending to Sausage Party, where they're all just, you know, hopping in there, and then references to Comet Ellen and Rapture. You know, of course, you know, the last card in that tarot spread for the Economist cover is the Star, and so, you know, all of the wonderment, you know, as to what that has to do with, you know, Planet X or Nibiru. However, whichever, you know, coding I think to you the most, but then followed by Obama's rise to power and Obama's deadly wound healed. And so all of that just so interesting when we come back to these in the heart of the earth, because that makes me think of vitriol from the 14th tarot, the art card. But thinking back to vitriol has the same coding as fire water.
Oh wow!
It
Nice.
was again that little can of gasoline opens up that portal.
Wow! Crazy. Wow.
But it's just so taking it down one step further, right? With the day of, break these down. There's that 246 again. Just that inverted house bill for magic, 642, or the 888 if we add them like that. But then those references again to September 9th, that 253rd day in leap years. President Barack Obama, again, XXX, right? 666, murderers.
Yeah.
Even peculiarly, almost to the Full Metal Jacket stuff, the drill sergeant. But this ES here coming up is, right, Pilgrim. Not only the Pilgrim Society, but also just John Wayne. And in that movie I'm always looking into, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, he says Pilgrim 22 times.
The Joker pretended to be John Wayne too. Well, he did that John Wayne joke. If you remember.
What was that?
I said in Joker in Full Metal Jacket, he pretended to be Wayne, or he did that impersonation of John
yeah. No, he totally did. And then, right, we get all these references back to Jesuit, Umbrella, Seal of God, that 5-5.
5-5, yeah. Sacrifice. Yeah.
I found it listed John Wayne 5. Very easily get the 5-5 out of. And again, just, breaking this just all the way down, just day of on its own. I didn't really finish it out here, but what really caught my attention is day of, because, right, O and F, the 15th and 6th. So there's that 156 again, and 156, that number of the Scarlet Woman. And so, throughout, connecting that back to everything else, I've kind of been rambling on about here. It kind of brings it just 360'd. And, I just, I don't know, I just really can't help but wonder.
Send you a little on the chat. I sent you some 461 stuff. I don't know if you can
In the
see
what
it.
now? Let me pull it up here.
The group chat, I guess they call it.
Okay, nice. The horror, again, like thinking back to the Vietnam films, thinking of Apocalypse Now, right? You have, I feel like that's the last set of words in that movie is the horror. I'm also thinking in that movie how it begins with the song, right, The End, or This Is the End from The Doors. And then just tying that back into way towards the beginning here, when we were looking at that June 3rd date, and that being the day that This Is the End came out. And again, having all those same values as Bullet Catch and so forth. But yeah, it just really starts to, I try not to go crazy with it.
It's kind of hard not to. Because it just leads into something else. Yeah,
and you just, you wonder what am I looking for? What is going on here? Screen thing again?
At the moment, yeah. Just
all right, so let's stop there.
Oh, there you go. Now it's stopped.
Let's get back to that. But yeah, so I don't know, man. That's kind of the things I've been looking at here.
I think Blade Runner will correlate somehow. I just have a feeling with some of your findings.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to look into that further.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I was looking at his Ridley Scott's filmography, and just looking at little trinity of productions he put out. It was Alien, Blade Runner, and then a 1984 like commercial. And so I just thought that was the strangest set of things to do in its way. Especially just because again, I was saying I haven't seen Blade Runner yet, but I remember with Alien, I mean, even just thinking to the cover, there's a giant V on it coming from the egg.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Try to get that pulled up somewhere here. But you know, again, just the amount of time between, you know, setting this plan into motion and bringing it to its, you know, full out culmination. And, you know, again, just that being, you know, the whole kind of, I guess, key to the alchemical process that they kind of like to run it through, and, you know, building everything up in every way to understand it before it's completely destroying it and doing it right.
Yeah.
See if I can grab this real quick.
Do you remember that TV series a long time ago, V? It was about reptiles, reptilians, aliens, and all that. They did a remake. There was an original in the 70s, and I think they redid it in the 90s or something like that, 2000s.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
It sounds, I feel like I've definitely seen it.
Yeah.
Like around
Yeah.
broadcast.
Yeah, that's definitely a big, yeah.
Right on the nice egg there.
Yeah.
Right, and again, all of
reptilian egg, I would say.
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, because so much of this stuff, I mean, right, comes down to this idea of an egg. And to see that V on it here, right, and again, just the idea of alien, and what that would mean moving forward. You know, I think to the whole Book of Lies bit in chapter 69, how to be successful and how to suck eggs. I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. But just thinking about the the peculiarity of that, because again, that number 69, right, the 15 that we get when we add it, and then reducing down to the lovers, the 6, the whole great work idea. It's just, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what on, because, you know, there's this whole bit about, you know, Crowley actually got in a lot of quote unquote trouble for printing that particular chapter, because they're saying, right, that's information that you cannot be divulging, you know, to anybody who just picks this book up. And it's interesting because suck eggs, I think it should be pulled up over there.
Yes.
But you get that nice 4-4 from the number of letters there. You can also get that 15, just like the 6 and 9 from the chapter that it is. But again, it comes up with this idea of education. And, you know, that just being a fundamental concept, but then, you know, even just thinking to these ideas of, you know, with Liberty Valance and how it says education is the basis of law and order. And law and order just, you know, being this huge thing that we've been looking into, especially since Donald Trump kept positing himself as the law and order candidate. But again, right, just seeing the actual right out there for the formula of INRI, and law and order itself, if I can, let's see. There we go. So in any case, having that English value of 690, again, dropping that 0, and we're back to chapter 69.
Yeah.
And right, that nice 115, 55. But again, John Wayne comes up in that coding, a new world, Freemasons, blood work, Twitter. And again, just I've been wondering a lot about Twitter since, again, I watched the newsroom. And, you know, they really made I feel, concerted effort to emphasize the role that plays in things now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that show was from several years ago, right? Well before, you know, any of this madness started.
Mm-hmm.
And even real quickly here, since I've got this pulled up, right, with Rob Lazivnik, one of the writers for a Simpsons episode, but he's got this 53 coding here, and I think it's part of why, you know, there was so much anticipation for someone, you know, of high order to get shot this year, because it was the 53rd year since the Kennedy assassination.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been looking into all of that stuff with Badu and her movie The Land. They've got all of these, you know, duality concepts throughout the trailer for it, inversion in places where it shouldn't be. But one of those places being on a speed limit sign, in which we had that nice 53 there. And right, of course, just all these references to, right, essentially death, and the rising, and of course, even this super important rose behind the cross. And thinking back to, you know, 49 being associated with the number of petals on this rose.
Oh, went off.
Hold on, I was trying to get back here. There we go. Nope. All right. But yeah. So a bunch of madness. I don't know. I mean, do you really think that something's going to come to pass this year on the level that we've kind of been forecasting? Have you seen anything that would tip that direction?
Well, they've done a lot of weird stuff. What they had, like 2 fake assassinations on Trump, right? 2, I think. And then there was I don't know if there was an assassination or another assassination attempt on some public politician. I don't know what country he was from, like a month ago or something like that. So they've done a few bullshit assassination attempts. And then there's all these things that correlate with Kennedy and then Obama, and maybe about him staying in power. And he's still really not out of office yet. And then there was the thing with Trump. Well, I thought the electoral, didn't you think? Well, I don't know. I thought the electoral vote, I thought he was going to technically lose on that. I thought they were going to like take him out. But then I started thinking, well, maybe it's best that they keep him in so that when all the shit hits the fan, they can stand there and point and say, well, see, he wasn't one of those blessed families like everyone else is. Because he's the one with like no political background out of like all these other placed Manchurian politicians. They grow up in it and do what he did, and he just, you know, someone who stole money and all that, a Zionist and all that. So it seems like they have a lot of things they can play, of whether maybe Obama stays in office because of some bullshit that Trump starts to do with Russia or something, or China, and supposedly he just threatened Russia and all this shit. So I don't know, man. It really seems this year something's going to happen. That's what really it seems like.
Yeah. And I did see something where Obama said that he could have won.
Yeah. He purposely, he went out and Trump challenged that. And I'm like, oh boy. So they might, I don't know. I think Trump being in there says something, because it was like pretty, well, for me, it was strange that they put him in. I was like, why would they put him in? I thought he was just going to be there to cause shit. And then I said, well, maybe it's better that they place his dumbass there, since he's not really a bloodline. He's like just some little dumbass. And he won't know anything, so he'll play the role that they want him to play, and that way then Hitler doesn't get blamed for anything, and so that could be it. I don't know. I think there's a reason why Trump's there. Definitely, they put his ass there for something, probably, in my opinion, to blame or to start some bullshit and then blame him for it, where maybe Obama could therefore step in.
Mm-hmm. And it's really insane to think about too, even on just a social level, what having, you know, him even as just the president-elect has brought out in a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because a lot of ugliness.
Yeah, there were people were rioting and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the world already operates on such an insanely unhealthy level of hate.
Mhm.
And then, even just, acknowledging the US president being a total figurehead, that's still what the world sees when they look at the states.
Mhm.
And we've got I mean, just a, you don't want to, I mean, he's a bigot.
Mhm. But that's all purposely done, as you know. So it's it's playing the role visually and psychologically that it's supposed to play. It's a psyop.
Yeah.
So it's all doing what it's supposed to do.
Well, and it was just, because it's interesting to me because a lot of people got behind him in the sense of, because they're saying, oh, well, he's not in, with all of these, politicians and government officials and so on. But, his ties to the entertainment industry are, I would say, of equal or greater, like, sketch value for as far as, what he would, be doing to be in those positions. Especially, yeah, with all the bankruptcies that the man is at the foot of. But getting back to that whole electoral college bit, it is interesting because electoral college is the same as Trump train, as well as inauguration, and forehead to be sealed. Really, really odd because, right, EC as well as 5-3. Bring us right back to that 53 talk. And, even thinking about, president-elect and presidential election, 165, that's all of that I came to slay bitch coding and United Nations, loops us right back into those ideas. I mean, there's just, God, the manipulation is just off the charts.
By design.
It's, I don't know. It's hard to, function, I guess, in some ways because, everybody is so gripped in their own relative perspective of things, and it becomes so absolute to them. That it's hard when you present things with an open mind and, they're not, the static thing. It's, actually able to, progress and evolve. And, I feel it's like when people, they kind of get upset by that. And I'm not entirely sure why yet.
I would humbly say that it's probably due to via the conditioning of the schools and all that, and social media and the news and everything that one is bombarded with. People get a lot of contrived narratives that they will argue to the death that is their own, but it's really via conditioning that they have through Hegelian dialectic, divide and conquer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So their minds aren't discerning. When you say logic and discernment are two different things. Logic is still based in duality. I'm not saying it's bad and terrible. I'm just saying it's based in subject versus object, looking at things as two separate things rather than one thing. So when you discern, you can you see things and judge viscerally, as well as researching and seeing stuff. You don't just base it off of what someone's telling you or one sentence you read. So that's different. That's why when people say, oh, this, that, and the other thing, and oh, you're crazy and all that, it's the knee-jerk reaction of their conditioning. Everyone's been conditioned to have that reaction subconsciously, and they think it's their own because it is, in a way, because they've been conditioned to be that way. But I smoke crack.
Yeah, and that's the limitation and the restriction stuff comes right back up in that.
Yeah.
Because it has to be, people want an answer. They want an absolute. They don't.
Deal in absolutes.
What's that?
He said only Siths deal in absolutes. Remember?
Yeah.
From, whatever, episode 3.
But yeah, it's just so, just such a dead end avenue, because then, when something is proved to be flawed in that, you end up have to either willfully and ignorantly, look aside from what's been presented that, puts a good amount of doubt into those beliefs. And you can't, or you just have to abandon it altogether. And I just feel like that's just, people are lazy.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But it goes back to what I said about being conditioned. That's it, the whole thing. You're conditioned to be lazy, and then now with technology, everything's convenient. Everything's convenience. All the kids, even they're 30 and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds that I know that are like idiots. And I'm like, you might be successful and make all this money and shit, but you're really, far from being a real person, or a true spirit or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, well, I would have to completely agree. I mean, it's really unfortunate that everything is designed and kind of, people are so programmed to just do things simply for the fact that they make money.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter at all what the social contribution is.
Oh.
They just want to be able to impress people that they'll never meet. People that just see them in passing. Or thinking about it in the idea of, you see all these people in really nice cars. But then, if you were to follow them, back to their residence, most of them, they'll live in just a really shitty place. But that doesn't matter because, right, everybody else, who sees them while they're driving will see this image of success.
Yes.
And, all of these just completely irrelevant things that go along with that. But that whole idea of the ego just dominating. And, one of the interesting things I came across in, looking into the whole Cliff Off and all of that, is discussing that, all of this, quote unquote, negative energy is actually just, in the line of trying to cleanse the individual of ego. It was saying that that's what the actual Sephiroth was the idea of ego. And the tree of death, the Cliff-Oth, is the balancing aspect of it. Because we can't be hanging out really on either.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be right in the middle there, in that, right, that perfect circle or the egg, or however you want to look at that.
Yeah. Yep.
But nobody, it's like, again, because even, I see a lot of channels when they're looking into symbols and stuff, or whatever, it's a absolute, angle that they'll take with it. And, it's like everything for whatever, negative, it always has just as much, quote unquote, light in it. And again, just, I think it just does come down to intention.
Yes. Willful intention.
But I do, you see things, hidden all the time, and seemingly hidden all the time in a lot of different channels. And it's just like, ooh, well. And I just, I don't even comment on any of that. I went after, did that, on the previous channel, and I was attacked. Videos started coming down, and, the avalanche of strikes, got that channel knocked out pretty quick after that.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, it just kind of showed me what I was, really dealing with. And I figured, it's not important for me to, because I just feel like, it's ego to look into those things, to go after, another channel and say this or that, they're flawed in this way. Because the viewer will determine, will be able to determine that, and it's their place to determine that.
True.
It's, what I say should be neither here nor there.
That's right.
And so it's like, I just kind of, came to that, you see what you see, and then you just don't feed energy into it. And that's, I feel what ultimately is the most successful thing there. Because again, then it just kind of ceases to matter in my world. Which is always a nice feeling when I don't have, my energy being pulled in all these different ways.
Yeah, that's right. Of course.
because you can feel it. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
say, on that Yellowstone video, it's gotten way more attention than I thought it was going to get.
Yes.
Something in the neighborhood of 80,000 views.
Yeah.
And when you have a video up there, you can just feel the hatred.
Yeah.
when you're away.
Yeah.
Just all this seething, and you start to who really leaves that kind of comment.
Yeah.
And there's I try to take a handful of those really just venomous ones.
Yep.
And respond to them in a way like, hey, like like there's a lot of things to be upset about, but I really don't think this video is where it should erupt.
Yeah, true.
But I guess you think about it too, though. You start talking about all these concepts pertaining to the Bible and existence, and people have a lot invested in that.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just so, I guess, almost strange sometimes to think about how much can be invested in that. Because just thinking from my relative shoes, what these concepts mean and how it resonates with me when I hear people say certain things about them or bring up certain figures, it's generally not offensive in any way.
Yeah.
But thinking about great majority of people take it almost as an insult. To so freely talk about these cataclysmic events and judgment and this and that. But is that, that must just come from the same thing, right? There's challenging of something that is said to be absolute. Again, the whole dogma idea.
Yeah.
Coming back to that number 4, especially the Emperor card. But just holding all of that in place. Maybe that's, I don't know, because I guess that's kind of why I don't ever really get defensive with people either.
Oh yeah. Good point. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because it's just like, it's like I will try to explain, what I, am able to kind of perceive is upsetting them or disconnect, where the dissonance is. And, and that's whatever. And it's like, if you don't get it, that's fine. But, a lot of comments I'll just outright delete.
Well, it goes back to what you said. We're lazy or whatever. They don't want. I think you said lazy, so they don't. In my opinion of that, it would be they'd have to, after watching your videos, if they have questions, rather than, I understand they could say something to you, but rather than like chastise you or really challenge you, why don't they go out and do research? Because if I'm watching a video and someone says some stuff like whatever, and I want to find out more about it, I'll research it. So I don't know why they wouldn't go and research for their own. You present a ton of information, you go over it, you dissect it. I know it could be a lot for certain people, but you have to expand your mind. You can't be so fucking lazy. You got to sit there and listen. You got to pay attention for more than 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, an hour, who cares? An hour, spending an hour and a half, listening to a presentation like that is so much better for your mind than, doing any of the other dumb shit, fucking around with your phone or getting laid or going out, meeting your friends and making fun of other people or buying clothes, stupid shit like that, mindless shit. So that's why, like, when I do my videos, they're not half as in depth, but when I go over the stuff, I'm not going to explain so many things about, like really get into it, because I know a lot of people don't have the attention span, but I'll go through the gematria and I'm like, yo, if it's 30, 40 minutes, it's that long. If you don't want to watch it, it's really on you. If you want to learn some stuff, not that I'm so great in what I'm doing, but you just watch and you pick up things, you watch your channel, you pick up things and you follow and you research. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
No, that's that's the way to do it. When there's another, say there's a video playing, you open another tab.
Yeah.
We live in it.
That'd be hard for most people. Oh man, that takes effort. I gotta open a tab. Shit.
I
gotta multitask.
You can flesh it out, and we live in an age where there's really no like valid excuse.
Yeah,
like
it's all at your fingertips. That's the one good thing about the internet, that even though it's all CIA and all that shit and it's part of J2AI, G2 AI. The one thing is, there is tons of information out there. So rather than, be closed-minded, use it for that, use that little bit that we can use, not against them, so to speak, but use it for your own knowledge to inform yourself about shit, cross-reference things, discern shit.
Mm-hmm. The only excuse I really see, people say, well, I don't have the time. And
right, they have time to buy stupid shit, but okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's such a stupid. I mean, that, but just anyone to say I don't have the time, and because what you're saying is in the human construct of time, you don't want to make any time for that. If you're a guy and you want to get laid, you'll make time to go get laid. You want to go make money, you'll make time to go make money. So to stand there and say, well, I don't have the time to learn, well, then you're glutton for your own punishment then.
That's right. And it's, all that it does ultimately seem to be really self-destructive in its ways too. Especially we're just looking at, what it does to energy, and especially, because, Lord knows that, drinking and excessive drug use is in the culture here.
Yep.
It's, I mean, you ever watch like World Star or anything like that? Those Vine compilations, all that just fucked up shit going on everywhere.
No. Just for one quick thing, it's just bad energy, so I wouldn't watch it. But
fair enough. I'm a glutton for it sometimes, though. I have to.
So you're watching people get hacked up and killed?
Well, no, not nothing like that. But like just seeing like, say like kids who are 3 years old and they're doing these song and dances about getting fucked up or shooting somebody.
Oh shit, no. Oh my God,
just all these, but just like just seeing it conditioned at that level.
Wow.
And how just prevalent that is, and how encouraged it is.
Oh yeah. Because
it's just designed, I feel, to be like that's the only world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you're not embracing this, just
something wrong with you.
And so, especially when you just again like look at the prevalence of it.
Yep.
Like what really is there to counteract that? Because you can't. Yeah, but right, how like?
Well, you have to realize the first one has to recognize what they're doing or what that type of situation. Is this really like a waste of time to be doing? Am I passing the time? What am I doing here? But no, people don't reflect like that, and that goes back to just being so conditioned, which was what you just were talking about with the 2-year-old or the 3-year-olds doing these crazy things and talking about shooting people and killing people. It's and then how it's encouraged. It just again shows the indoctrination of the entire world, and more importantly, our society in the United States, our bullshit reality.
And they see too, these people they got a lot of money.
Yep.
Huge motivator right there.
Yeah.
Because that's what kid wants to be is famous, successful, all this shit.
Celebrity, yeah. Fucking abstract reality to live in, and they want that.
And how could
they have to sign their lives away when they get there? Before they get that, actually, before they receive that, they sign their lives away.
And having no idea how to, how could people growing up in that, how could you possibly present the other side of the coin to be more appealing, than endless, sex and endless drug use and money, all these things. Especially when you look at it in the idea of, that's instant gratification that they're looking for.
Yeah.
In the whole delay of, when you actually have to work towards things. I mean, you see it, in life all the time. People are like, to hell with that. If I can't get it immediately, I'm not interested.
Yep. Well, that, again, goes back to conditioning. It's with kids. They do that with kids. If you ever work with kids, it's they reward kids for the stupidest thing, and that's why every kid is reward based. And if they don't get rewarded, they're like, well, fuck you, I'm not doing that. And it's like, yes, you are doing that. I told you to do it. There's no fucking wasn't a request. It was a directive. Right. Do this. I did. You're 4 years old. What are you telling me you're not going to do? Or 7 years old. What are you telling me you're not doing that for? but they're conditioned to like, well, what am I going to get? And that's because people who don't know how to teach, they hire these people, and part of their cookie cutter teaching methods they teach these fools, closed-minded people, is to like, you know, give rewards, overpraise kids, they sing songs to pre-K kids when they show up. I'm like, why are we singing? I don't sing the song, but I'm like, why are they singing a song to a kid who showed up today? So what? The fuck is the big deal? Yeah, Larry came in. Good. Are you okay? Hey, great. Sit down. You know, I'm like, what's like normal? Hi, I'm so and so. Hi. So like normal shit. They're singing to this kid. I'm like, what kind of abstract bullshit is that? But I don't know. You know, you just, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, how does that happen? People have to, I don't know. People have to eventually get tired of what the lifestyle that it is, and think like all the shit that's going on, does any of it make sense? I mean, just for one quick thing, like the moon, like we went to the moon, supposedly, I'm just in bullshit, we went to the moon in 69. Well, why haven't we been there in 40 or 50 years since? And if that makes you start to think, then that'll open up a lot of can of worms for the average person, because that makes no sense. If we got to the moon 40 or 50 fucking years ago, or whatever, 55 years ago, why haven't we gone back there? Does that make any sense?
No, not one bit.
So that should just open up someone's mind of like, well, maybe things aren't the way I think they are. Maybe it's not the way that reality is presented. Maybe something's going on, but that's just one little thing. And there's millions of things that are out there, but that's just one blatant thing. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and I feel that speaks to a great point too, where, you know, once people look into that, you know, I feel like it's almost they're immediately overwhelmed with how much information is there. And you know, how do I sift through this? How do I know, you know, this documentary is, you know, more, you know, informative or legitimate than this other one? For all these whack jobs, and all these things, and you know, again, just the effort that would take to actually, you know, discern through that.
You did that.
And, you know,
you did it. Yeah, so did I. You know, that's what you do. That's what you do. You sat on YouTube and you looked through shit. You read books. You read a lot of books. You talked to people. You know, you learned to discern. And that's, instead of looking at Nicki Minaj videos and Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus dry humping somebody or showing her pussy on, people should be like, you know, I don't want to watch that. Oh, let me see this person talking about this. And you keep watching videos, and then you get better at discerning the bullshit. So you start watching the video. After a while, like, you know, you'll be like, oh, this is some bullshit. You'll scan through it and like, okay, that video was stupid. You know, especially if it's a long video, but shorter videos you can watch. And then you start picking out, you know, when someone just starts talking in a video, you can pretty discern after a while, within a minute, whether the person is pretty much talking out of their ass or they have some good information or something to that effect. Comes in time.
Yeah. Because it gets to the whole, you know, well, everything's a hoax.
Yeah.
And yeah. And that's just, you know, there's so many weird places I feel people kind of trap themselves with their, you know, when they're looking into these things. And just kind of feel like, you know, helpless, and you know, that's when they kind of just get back to the, you know, well, fuck it, go, you know, get drunk and get laid. And you know, that at least there's that. And you know, all the comfort from that, and you know, just the overall, I feel like, acceptance that you get from those things, you know, constantly going out, you know, just having that, being on that public radar in that way.
Yeah, that lifestyle is crazy. It's constant, you know, filling your ego, fulfilling, and it's never satiated, and you just keep doing it, and it's all about you, and it's just out of escapism. Everything is a what do you call it? Distraction to what people should be trying to do, is realizing, as you know, again, not patronizing, just
no, not at all.
You know, people have to realize the bullshit we're in is not, you know, life isn't about making money and all that shit and getting laid and having a million things and all that. And there are people, you know, that are being starved in other countries for stupid reasons, and, you know, all this crazy shit. And that, why are there so many you know, viruses out there that seem to be man-made? You know, this virus can get, you know, can climb in through this pore, and there's not a drug that can affect it, and it'll know, and it can become part of your brain, and it'll start making you talk before it kills you. And it's like, how the fuck does nature make that? I mean, I'm not trying to go on a rant, but I think about that. Like, nature, like something that would it ever create something that's so insidious that it could replicate something else and hide and then destroy everything and never be found by the immune system? Does that sound like something nature would create?
Not that malicious.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm not trying to be crazy, but I want to know, like, that. No, right? Am I crazy?
no, not in the slightest.
So that goes back to like how things are crazy, and like when you hear like when one hears about all these viruses and shit, oh, Zika now, whatever, measles and all this shit. It's like, come on, man. And AIDS, AIDS started because some guy fucked a monkey. Come on, man. Like, just hearing that, how could anyone? I heard that shit when I was like 9 or 10, whenever it came out, and I'm like, dude, come on. The guy fucked a monkey, and that's how AIDS started. Jesus Christ, man. I was like, but people don't think. They're just like, okay, yeah, that
Yeah,
happened.
sounds about right.
Yeah, that's right. The news said it. Yeah, that's right.
Based on what?
Yeah, it's based on what? Oh, well, sources say. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Right. They believe, findings suggest. Right.
And that's the great part about, if you actually then take the time to look into the news organizations, you
Yeah.
see it's listed very clearly in terms and conditions, sole purpose is entertainment. We have the
Entertainment.
right to modify this and that and make it what we want.
Yes.
And I always just think of that movie Wag the Dog.
Yep. Yep. I reference that
Yeah, I
movie
mean
all the
that's
time.
yeah, exactly, what we're seeing right now. And have seen countless times.
Yes.
But so it gets to this place then, thinking about all this, all these concepts building up, you know, for the sake of, balance or humanity. I mean, is there a way to restore the balance without, this all out, for lack of a better word, cleansing? This massive set of, chaos and destruction and, death and just, all of these plights, just wiping out the current system of the way things are. Like, is there a way besides hitting a giant reset button like that, whether it be right, man-made or not?
And well, obviously it'll go one of two ways. I'm in predicting mode now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
It I mean, I believe, I don't know. I feel for me, and I feel that things are definitely going to change for the better. However, having said that, I know from being around kids and teaching, just instructing kids and people in general, and being around a lot of people, but a lot through instructing, especially in the last 10 years, and seeing how kids act and how hard the conditioning is and their how rigidness is. They have trouble listening, and I'll try to make sure they have trouble listening. So they always are moving, and they can't focus on shit and all that type of stuff. And like I said, they want the reward, and they can't just like do something to just do it. It's like, just stand still, don't move, or stand on line and be quiet, don't talk, and they'll keep talking. And that crazy shit is just the ways people's minds are. It's like they have to learn a hard lesson. So it's like you can't tell a kid, even anyone from 4 to whatever, 17, 18, you can't say, oh, be quiet. And they'll just keep talking. You're like, excuse me, I said be quiet. And they'll be like, well, I have to be quiet. It's like, yes, you do. We're in the hallways. The school law is whatever. You can't talk. So just don't talk in the hallway. Make it, how hard is that? Just don't talk for a moment. But they won't do that. So you're like, okay, well, do I have to make you stop talking? Do I have to remove you? Do we have to call your parents? Like, what do you need? And then some of the kids are like to a point where you almost like, I'm not saying hit them, but they almost push it to that point of like the lesson they're going to learn is to get hit. And then they learn, like a little kid, 20, 30 years ago, they said, fuck you to mother. They got slapped halfway through that remark. And they picked
right.
their ass up off the ground. And if they started crying, they got smacked again. And they stood back up and they were quiet in a statue. And they don't say anything. And the tear will run down their face. They won't say shit because they know I got the shit smacked out of me. I got back up. I started to have a problem with it. I got smacked down again. I'm fine. No problem, Mom. Let's go. You don't say anything. You just move. And I'm not a kid who was hit. I saw that shit happen. But today, kids are at that level. So my whole point of that roundabout shit is that people, I feel, are to that point where they have to learn the hard lesson. They're almost so fucking stupid, almost, that they have to be pushed to that point of the gun's going to be up their anus before they go, oh, wait a minute. You know what? I don't like this. And the one person will just having then a chain reaction, and then other people will start going off that. But I really feel it's almost the gun's got to be to the back of the head. I wish it didn't have to be that. It doesn't need to be that. If people just said, you know what, I'm sick of this bullshit money and capitalism and thinking that conglomerates and government and we need laws and police and we need a military protecting us to give us our freedom from boogeymen that come from nowhere that are going to kill us, and vaccines and everything out there is going to kill us. If we transcended past all that shit, all the shit that we think society and reality is would completely go away. And I know that sounds like simpleton shit or stupid, but all the stuff that we're involved in my crazy humble opinion, is contrived we're in a contrived reality. And once we got past that and realized all this is bullshit, and like, not like I'm biblical, but like sins of the flesh, that we're operating on this low chakra and everything's physical, we will transcend. And that's what transcendent means. You get past that physical bullshit. And that's what's fucking us up. We're caught in the physical, and it's dooming us. So after that hour-long rant.
No, that's great, man. That wasn't stupid shit at all. I mean, that was right on the money. I mean, that's a great example, though. I mean, because, you know, yeah, there's no, I mean, consequences seem largely arbitrary.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, no real ramification. It's like when you know, tell somebody that, you know, if they're buying, you know, a Nike shoe, it means that they're supporting child labor.
Yep.
You know, they'll say, you know, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that in no way affects them in their immediate life that they're aware of.
In their opinion. Yep. Exactly. Good metaphor.
Yeah. And so it just falls right off of the radar.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's just
karma. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. No worries. But it does get to the point where, you know, it's just like, okay, you know, you guys have been, you know, warned time and again that, you know, this excessive lifestyle, this, you know, really decadent lifestyle has really negative ramifications, you know, socially, mentally, on and on.
Yep.
You know, but you keep embracing it, you keep making it stronger, you know, you keep, you know, corrupting youth with it.
Like a drug addict.
Yeah. You know, there has to be a top somewhere to that. You know, because you just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you just look around and, you know, you know, I lived in, you know, Seattle for a number of years, and it always bothered me how much they downplayed the homeless problem there.
Oh yeah. Everywhere, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, but you know, yeah, getting to see it firsthand.
Created homelessness.
Yeah, and just
manufacture homelessness.
You know, nobody cares.
That's right.
You know, you see, you know, Seattle has stores, you know, with rugs that are, you know, $60,000+, and you know, outside of that store, you know, you have, you know, 3 people in sleeping bags sleeping in their own piss.
Yeah.
And the people walk into that store with no guilt.
That's right. I got to get me some chiclets.
Yeah, I got to get the $60,000 rug.
That's right.
Because that's what's important.
That's right.
And then there's that ego, you know, for the handful of people that are ever going to see that and, you know, be told that was $60,000. But be impressed as shit by that. Man, I wish I could afford a $60,000 rug. All it'll cost you is, you know, disregarding your fellow man and humans.
That's right.
This rug can be yours.
That's right.
You know, if you're just willing to look past.
That's right. Don't take any responsibility. That's really what it is, like you're saying.
It's just, you know, because you hear all this, I just feel like people get so self-righteous with, you know, all of, you know, oh, well, you know, people are really making all this progress, and there's this organization, there's that organization, there's these nonprofits.
Yeah.
If you look into them, I mean, and are at all familiar with, you know, how that, I mean, these people in these nonprofits are raking in 6+ figures.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the stuff, it honestly doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
You know,
it's usually more it doesn't. Yeah. It's more part of the problem, you know, but it's just
yeah.
So hopefully people, I don't know, people have to wake up. That's really what I mean. It's not a great term, but it, you know, it is and it isn't, but it's very overused. But people have to get out of their slumber, or you know, stop operating in this false reality of, you know, just floating around all the time, like going back to kids again. They're all like, I'll tell them, like, you know, I'll be telling them something, and I could see them like looking up out, you know, up in the ceiling or staring off into space, and I'm like, yo, man, you awake? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, yo, you're off into space. You know, we're standing here. Where are you? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, yo, you got to pay attention, man. Like, they just go off so easily. Like, and I'm talking a lot of kids are like that. And it's really scary, because everyone, as you're saying, they're completely disregarding other things. They're just worried about themselves. They live in like a, you know, 5-foot box. And that's it. They just will walk by someone and they don't give a shit. It's crazy. That needs help. And they don't care.
Yeah, super problematic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, and you look at, even just, right, America in general is an individualistic nation.
Yep.
And that just further compounds everything. Because again, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yep.
And there's just so many places where that doesn't line up.
Yeah.
It's like, I agree, people shouldn't just sit around waiting for handouts. But, to an extent, like, not everybody is privy to the same opportunities as others.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about getting into these positions, making 6+ figures,
Mm-hmm.
And getting a lot of the control and power that comes with those sorts of positions.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just thinking about just all the thing that I had to be most mindful of not tangenting on is just, right, this idea of money and all of the things that would be improved, right, if we had a system that didn't function on, right, infinite growth and scarcity and just all this manipulation of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, people say, well, if there's no money, then how are we gonna keep track of this or that, or everyone's just gonna go steal all this stuff. And it's like, well, what would be the point of stealing shit if you were just welcome to it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would you ever rob somebody?
To steal anything people share.
Exactly.
But
I mean, and if everything, yeah, it's just, it comes back to all this, that, we're insistent upon using these super ineffective and outdated, technologies and energy sources and methods of farming and so on, because they perpetuate that and they create a further stranglehold on things, instead of us actually embracing things that are sustainable, and, low impact on their, what would be cost. But again, just would change so much. And I don't, the whole product obsolescence thing, always just a mind blow to me, where, you have literally, we're going to make this product so that it will be outdated in a short period of time, so that people buy more things that we're manufacturing, at these just horrible slave wage prices. And that's, and that doesn't bother people enough to do anything. It's why, I guess getting back to this whole, it bothers me when I feel so many people are just so self-righteous, and I feel falsely confident, just the willingness of people to actually help others and to do the right thing.
Mm.
Because, again, time and time again in my own life, that's not what I see.
Mm-hmm.
You hear stories about those sorts of things. But just, given the choice to, that's not what I see.
Yeah.
Always choose the low road.
Yeah.
And, don't ever look back.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so I guess that's just where, for me, it's, I get to a point where I'm like, well, what is any other option if, things were, because there's just, it's just, you look at the suffering of things, and, it's just like, well, how much of that is okay? How long can that go on for?
Not forever.
And it's like, is this, you would hope that this next burst of things, would not be, some tyrannical thing, but it seems like it would be better off if everybody's energy was just freed from this place.
Mm-hmm.
Because just being born into certain, areas, certain socioeconomic status, whatever, you're doomed just by cosmic lottery.
Mm-hmm.
We could get into all sorts of things about, whether or not that was, quote unquote, like earned or, warranted from a previous life.
Mm-hmm.
But, all the same, there are really good people who suffer.
Mhm.
And it seems to be at the end of the day, that's who the vast majority of them are.
Mhm.
Those who are willing to be, corrupt, quote unquote, play the game, have kind of the most cushy lives, the
Mhm.
ones that a lot of people want to have for themselves. Whereas if anybody is actually concerned with, you know, doing what they can to be, it's it's hard to, I guess, find the right words for,
Well, I
without
understand.
sounding,
I get what you're
you
saying.
don't want to say, you know, like, and again, because, what's the right thing, da 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 da. But again, it's all being humans, the way I look at things.
Yeah.
And so, no one human or bloodline of humans or any of that, should be so elevated above others.
Mhm.
Um, it's a very interesting, just everything that they've, I don't know, deceived us into.
Yeah. Good term. Yeah.
I don't even know if it's, I don't even know if they would need to deceive people into it, frankly. If you just offer them, it's just thinking back to the rewards thing. But I guess this does go hand in hand with deception in a way, because when kids are looking for rewards,
Mhm.
they're looking for the wrong type of reward.
Yeah.
Right, because certain behaviors should, right, it's like to reinforce it, like something positive,
Mhm.
typically needs to come from it.
Yeah.
But not a materialistic thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where
Um,
reward would come within one of doing the right thing or doing something that, you made you happy to do for someone else. So, but people don't operate on that, and they don't condition that. They condition the ego side, left side of the brain.
right, because what do you have to show strangers for, an emotional achievement or a
Mhm.
spiritual accomplishment?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's being wanting to be have things for, like, you're talking about having things for doing things. So when you do this, you get that, and that's all, I guess, great for certain people. But you're also, I would argue, one is accumulating a lot of bad energy, a lot of bad karma, because you're willfully doing things in your heart is not right. Some people don't. Some people are psychopaths and they don't know, but the vast majority of people know right from wrong. And it comes down to choosing, willful intent, volition, karma, and you have to do the right thing, and then you go through your life that way. And all these other people have these cushy jobs and getting laid and have all these great things. They're swelling up a ton of bad karma, and that's energy, because we're all energy when it comes down to it, because we're not physical. And that's going to come back to people, or to that spirit, that energy being. You can't accrue tons of bad energy and not have it come back. You're a part of it. You've accrued it. It's a part of you. So that's why it's important not to accrue bad karma.
So would you say that, right, with say we're looking at some sort of engineered sort of apocalypse event,
Mhm.
do you think the purpose of that would be, like, in their minds, to dole out that karma? Because thinking to all this, age of adjustment stuff, and just the importance of that, and that tarot card, the eighth card,
Mhm.
being connected with that idea of balance and just the idea of karma itself. Is that an engineered way to restore that, by leading people to embrace in things that accrue so much bad karma that it gets to the point that, it it has really at this moment, and that when they, do start unleashing all of that's, a justification to them?
Yeah, it could be seen as that, possibly. I didn't think about that. Yeah, it could be seen, I guess, as a justification to them. I just think that, I mean, it depends. I mean, if they're really, like, supposedly gonna wipe out like 99 or 98% of the populace, I really don't believe they want to do that. I would argue that if they do some type of apocalyptic thing, it'll be, like I said, that alien holographic false flag invasion bullshit, or they'll do the second coming of Christ, which we've talked about and extensively found in, your gematria stuff, to get people to come to, like, either a one world government or one world religion, so that'll be easier to get the masses into it. And then the people who don't want to do it, that'll probably be a very small number. Those people will be taken away and probably put in internment camps or killed.
yeah, the internment camp. I mean, yeah, that's definitely where so much attention is. And I always wonder about anytime it's like look here, look here, look here. It's like, all right, where's the other hand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The FEMA camp. There's a ton of stuff there. But and then you also have that other organization, NEMA, the National Emergency, whatever, Management Association. And right, NEMA is the inversion of the word amen.
But
I know, right? And have a huge reach. And even if we were thinking back to all of that V coding and Trump train and all that stuff earlier, it's also got coded in there by the hand of NEMA.
Yeah.
And I really, all this wondering, it's like, it gets to the point, well, it's like, say, say we are right about a number of these things. What is that? So what? It's like, so you knew we were all going to be fucked, and you think about that as you die, or like hold up, I feel like that's a question that kind of comes across a lot of, if all of this go, there will be no way, for people to be like, oh, wow, you got that. And right, it's the idea is it doesn't matter. It's the idea of like talking about the concepts that are associated with it, so that when it does start to happen, people are comfortable as can be, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because if all this stuff's going on and you're feeding it all this negative energy, I mean, I can't, because it's, it's like, I just think about this whole, if we really get to this point where, say all this shit goes crazy with CERN, it's just breaking down, the actual reality and how we see things, and what our emotions would translate to in that dimension. What is their role in that sense, and what does it make us, vulnerable to?
Yeah.
Is there a difference? Does that?
I would presume so. Yeah. Right. The energies would be different, right?
Mm-hmm. Like the actual, just, having understanding and, being accepting of it against like fighting it.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Cause it's, cause that does get into a point where, you got all these speculations about that, and, I mean, because they're doing things that, this is like new to humanity.
Yeah.
To have these capabilities of experiments. And you just, I don't know, you wonder, because it's like, would it just be a simple zip and everything's gone and wavy and energy, or, what, is it, is that whole thing just a big, cover up?
Yeah.
And really something else is going on behind the curtain. It's, left field over there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always, even when they had that thing about, a weasel shuts down CERN, and it's like, all right, guys, like,
right.
what's going on here? Is this thing for real? Can it do that? Like, make a black hole in the basement of Europe?
But a weasel.
Yeah, is that like, what's, what on earth is going on here? Why are you putting this out here? But, I would love to see, I'll just be frank, I would love to see something spectacular like that. Just a, massive, you wonder with the, even with the, because we talk about all these ideas of, false flag alien invasions and so forward, but it's like, can we ever really discount, an actual alien invasion? Like,
you mean,
like, do you actually, outside of, do you think that there's actually aliens that would come and destroy? I know it sounds ridiculous, but
no, I don't think it's, I would already argue that that theory or that point of view has already have happened. I think we've already been conquered by aliens, in my opinion. But
Okay.
we don't know it, so to speak. But that goes back into, you know, all the bloodlines, draconian bloodlines, goes back to dragons, Dracula, Draco, goes back to all the reptiles and reptilians and serpents and all civilizations and Adam and Eve and theology. It goes back to all that. That's why I always argue that, I mean, this is my opinion. I just always argue that Satanism is a homage or a homage to the draconians, the reptilians.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I don't know. I just, with all
I
the
mean, I know that
Satanism
sounds
stuff,
crazy, but
um,
but
well, because like
people,
you just think
yeah.
about, go ahead.
No, go on.
The just all of the disinformation I feel that comes out with the Church of Satan.
Yep.
You know, and how they take those symbols and pervert them. You know, especially the meanings behind you know, even just looking at the pentagram, in that, you know, to the 5 elements. You know, the 5th one being ether. Um, and you know, instead, you know, it's, you know, shut off, you know, because, you know, I always think about, you know, that symbol in connect, you know, compared to the cross, you know, which, you know, it's got, you're going in 4 different directions that are never going to meet again.
That's right. Yep.
You know, and thinking about the whole, you know, divide and conquer that comes from, you know, that kind of standardized religion.
Yep.
You know, whereas you look at something like a pentagram and it's actually connected.
Yep.
You know, with that nice circle around the edges there. But you know, and having people be so confused about it, you know, they actually rejecting that connectivity. You know, and you know, you look at the cross, arguably the biggest religious symbol in the world. You know, embracing something that again pushes us all in different directions. I don't know. It is just so. You know, again, it's like, that's why, it's almost why there's, you know, so I have only just a handful of videos on this channel, as compared to when I had, you know, first done this, because I get to a point where it's like, well, what would be the significance of me sharing this?
Yeah.
You know, what does this connect to that someone else hasn't talked about? I was trying to figure that out with that Yellowstone video, why on earth it was resonating with so many people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, for the majority of folks, that's some random shit.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, yeah.
You know, but there's something there. You know, in the whole, you know, way that video came about was, you know, very bizarre, very, you know, just kind of, I hate to use words like prophetic, but it was just a very odd set of circumstances that led to all of that coming together. And you know, and that's been the nature of all of these videos on this channel, is, you know, and it gets back to the thinking point earlier of never, you know, looking for things because you cannot find them if you're looking for them. But you know, just understanding that when they come across, the significance that they do have. And so it's, you know, and like in thinking about, you know, all that information that, you know, I was kind of just blundering, you know, in the first half of this conversation, you know, I want to like tighten that up, you know, to show people, you know, looking forward here, you know, because I just, you know, I just feel like there's a lot of, because it's like, you and I look at that Yellowstone video, and I know a lot of the anger that comes from it is when you say warning. And you know, you put these dates out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all people, you know, are those dates. You know, but it's like, you know, you want people to see it, and you have to get their attention.
That's right. Yeah.
And you know, it's like, if you know, I mean, I just feel like that's, you know, it's also, it's a common denominator. Is the first video on this new channel where I actually went the warning route.
Yeah.
but, you know, for those who are actually, you know, kind of willing to see past, you know, it's like, oh, okay, we just wanted my attention.
Yeah.
You know, what's all going on with this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you start to see how much more depth there is to everything. And you know that, you know, okay, even if these, you know, 2 days, you know, come to pass and, you know, nothing really, you know, comes out of it, there's still all this other stuff that definitely connects to other things.
Yes.
And you know, it's just I actually haven't had a chance to do like an in-depth, you know, search on, you know, what did really happen on those 2 days. But you know, I did think it was very interesting, you know, on the 17th that the strongest earthquake of the year hit.
Yeah.
Is at 8.0, and so you have that nice 8, and again that adjustment card. And that's just really one of the points I, you know, really been like honing in on over the past while here. You know, I think even in that video I was discussing, you know, how, you know, in the writing for that card they discussed the importance of the number 31. You know, all this ice cream stuff, but you know, 31, you know, 3 times over gives us that nice 93. And so, you know, just all these, you know, different ways, you know, that really did sink in very, what I thought to be impressively. You know, and I was checking out, you know, another channel, Dutch Sense, and, you know, looking at, you know, his whole, you know, forecast on, you know, all these, and it was just really wild to see how that was lining up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because again, you know, I wish I had, you know, seen that beforehand, but I really had not. It's really interesting because I noticed he had done another video saying that the most powerful earthquake of the year before that was on December 12th, which is actually another huge day that I've been looking into with quite a bit of the coding, day before the full cold moon that happened.
Okay.
But, you know, so it's like, I think that's, and again, you know, why I just am so apathetic to a lot of, again, just a hate that manages to come off people, because it's like, do you not see how huge that is?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, people don't.
You know, and again, just you know, looking in, you know, connecting it in the sense of, you know, always talking about Typhon, and, you know, if he's trapped underneath of this mountain, and, you know, earthquakes and, you know, volcano eruptions, you know, or, you know, connected to the kind of lore of this guy. You know, I just think it's so weird. The day before that big earthquake on the set, I think it was the day before, but there might have been some right in that neighborhood. There was another really large earthquake right next door to Papua New Guinea in the Solomon Islands. And so, of course, I just thought, what are the odds that Solomon, right, is involved with that? And then just thinking about that, right, S&I, the 199, which I'm pretty certain is the same as Tetragrammaton. Yeah, it's also the same as Pilgrim Society, Do What Thou Wilt.
Wow. Yeah.
It's all these things. And thinking back to even, what's her name? Mildred Z. Solomon, who's the president of the Hastings Center, the big bioethics research here. But, you know, her name and all the coding for, right, President Donald Trump, the sudden rapture, and just all of these just wild, wild pieces. Planet Saturn. Even Yellowstone Lake comes up for her coding. But obviously just by the importance of just Solomon coding in all of this, just something not to be understated.
That's right.
I just really, you know, again, just feel it's like the word I always say, you know, looking at it, it's just, shit's just stunning. I don't know what else to say. But here it is. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's like one of those things where, you know, we'll see, I guess, moving forward here. Because, you know, it's like I look at, you know, the time that I have available to actually make these presentations. And, you know, that window, you know, it's just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
I'm always, you know, doing, you know, my own research and, you know, cross-checking things, you know, looking at stuff on the fly. but you know, the opportunity to make the videos is so limited. But you know, so it's like I always try to cram as much shit as I possibly can into each video. You know, and just hope that, you know, as much of it can resonate as possible. And you know, I was shocked. You know, we got like over 600 new subscribers off of that video, that last one. And it's totally out of left field. You know, again, just not, you know, because you know the videos typically average, you know, just a few hundred views. You know, if I'm lucky. You know, dozen or so, you know, likes and shares. And I always wonder too, you know, when those handful of videos do really explode, you know, idea of, you know, YouTube does, you know, control a lot of things and push things or suppresses things. You know, what, you know, is the pushing that?
I
know. You know, it's like, was I on the money, you know, more than I was seeing? You know, is this a big thing that misleads people more? People to see it? Never really makes sense to me to have, you know, a video like that be so popular and, you know, get all these, you know, subs and likes and, you know, whatever off of it. But then the rest of the channel stays pretty stagnant. You know, like none of the other videos start to see, you know, dramatic increases. You know, it's just that one video gets, you know, a whole just while, and then it just kind of slowly dies away. And I don't know how, you know, how or why. I guess it's, you know, not more like why people would just be so drawn to one video and then not, you know, take the time to investigate that channel further.
It seems to be an argument for, as I said, and with the numbers that YouTube or Google tells us. You know, I think they fudge the numbers, so it's like you said, it's strange how one video would do so well and then the other ones are, you know, all right or whatever comparatively to it. But there's got to be a reason for that, as you're saying. So that might be maybe certain videos they actually let you see what other people like, the real true numbers maybe, and then all your other videos you're not seeing the true numbers. You know, one really never knows because they're screwing with it. So we, you know, as channel, you know, making these videos, we have no idea. We're following blind, like watching the news, like the other sheep and going, oh yeah, it happened because it's on the news. You know, we have to believe because it's on YouTube that the numbers are right, and I don't think they are, because it doesn't make sense for certain videos to do so well compared to other videos like that. You should see a steady increase, and you should see certain videos obviously do better than others, but then that should be reflective of views and shares and comments and likes and your subs going up, right? Or am I crazy?
No, I mean that is completely what one would anticipate. Yeah, period.
Kind of like we went to the moon in '69, right? And we haven't been back. Makes you think.
Well, because I always, you know, operate in the assumption that there's, you know, a handful of controlled, you know, channels, people, whatever, that watch every single video. You know, and they're very interested to see what's brought forward, you know, how it comes across, how this can feed into other things, you know, how it could possibly be, you know, undermined, you know, on another channel. And, you know, and again, that would link into a whole, you know, network, you know, that kind of conspires to, you know, taint and control, you know, what people are seeing and what they're kind of find.
Like it's done in newspapers and in the news on TV. Same thing.
That's right. Yep. That's why I try as I can to not follow headlines particularly. You know, it's like usually when I'm talking about things, they're from books is a baseline, you know, or a cartoon or movies. You know, but something that's, you know, that's set, you know, for a fact was, you know, crafted. And then, you know, bridging that out, you can connect to things that are going on, and how those things that are going on conceptually mirror that thing that, you know, is crafted. and there to, you know, instill certain thoughts into your mind. Because otherwise I feel like it can feel like, you know, chasing your own tail sometimes. Yeah, that's why like I did like the Pez theory.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know, it's just like, all right, like I want, you know, to baseline here. And, you know, kind of have, you know, this is, you know, the direction we're looking, the way it kind of goes, how it looks, you know. I mean, the odds of the Pez logo being originally constructed out of 44 bricks of Pez, you know, just get out of here. Like, you know,
yeah,
and just down and down the line, you know, with, you know, just the history of that company and, you know, 1955, you know, of course, that just glorious 55. You know, they start making the ones with the heads on them, and the first two are Mickey Mouse and Santa Claus. You know, and how that connects into everything. You know, of course, you know, the big piece they're talking about Jebediah Springfield and his head being sawn off. You know, essentially making a human Pez dispenser out of him. And just all of the, I mean, just wild piece. It is a really that's something I feel like, you know, if another life form we're looking at, they'd be like, well, that's it. Little candy dispensers and head back, you know, some treat from their neck.
Yeah.
Just
decapitated person.
Just on that, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, oh my God, that's so silly. But, you know, it's like, well, is it though? You know, when you think about the conditioning that goes with that. And again, just what people are rewarded for, these wrong things, these violent things, these, you know, aggressive things. Yeah, it just really, this really blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pez theory, that was very involved. Wow. That was heavy.
Yeah, that was some crazy shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was wow.
For like 3.5 hours. Just, I'm gonna get this out.
Yeah.
It's happening, and, you know, I'll cut it up later.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, you know, where I go through, you know, sometimes, you know, I'll just go back through and I'll look through, you know, that big master copy sheet that I have. You know, and we'll just look at, you know, all these things and, you know, shit that, you know, you just slips your mind because you look into so much and talk about so much. And, you know, there's so many opportunities where, you know, I could go back and be like, oh, well, you know, I nailed this day. I nailed this day. Look at this. Look at that. Again, that would almost defeat it in a lot of ways.
Yep. Undermine it. Yep.
You know, it's like one thing to like kind of like state, you know, okay, yeah, this did happen that day. You know, but it's just like, because there are so many things, it's just, you know, I don't know, you just, because you keep moving. You know, because it's like, well, if that was so, then like I really, you know, don't have that much time to say, you know, to take the time to say, look at this, listen to this, you know, when I could be moving forward, knowing that what was put out, you know, was on the mark.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to spend as much time actually possible. But, you know, I do, you know, I feel like because I'm always reiterating things, trying to get, because I feel like most of these videos, like if someone was coming onto my, you know, channel for the first time, they kind of see it's almost like a series. You know, and I almost need like a previously on when I'm starting up the videos. You know, so it's just like, you know, all these things that are like laid out, you know, and that match up, and it's just, you know, because it's just building and building and building. You know, that's where I feel it gets to be so, even when we were looking through all of that information at the beginning here, I mean, it just loops back and back and back and back.
Yep.
But yeah, so it does, yeah, it does just get to a place where, you know, because I do look at, you know, the nature of what it is that I'm presenting, you know, and that it's all, you know, it's all kind of in the same, you know, tone of, forecasting destruction,
Yeah.
and anticipating destruction.
Yeah.
But from where my perspective stands, that destruction is actually right what is needed. Especially if we're just looking at, getting the earth and its energy back to normal. But just all of the, whether we want to say factory farming or cell phone towers or, any of the things that are just constantly throwing everything off. But the end of all of those things really would be the beginning of something great. Especially since we know that, if certain minds were, preserved through that, we absolutely are at a place where, we could do things right. It is just a matter of, the right thing doesn't benefit the current system.
Yeah.
If they get, everything that they're looking for out of this, and whatever that understanding is, whatever that energy kind of threshold is, you it. If all of it does come to worship of, the earth and the, all these natural things.
Yeah.
Is trying to keel back, philosophically ranting, or just on there. I do wonder about that, because that, if that's the end game, that's, that, because when is it time? When is it time? You get impatient almost. Because it's, again, you just look around, and you see so much suffering, so much corruption, so much, ignorance, so much violence, so much of just all of these things that are, destructive in the negative aspect of it, that are, destructive in the sense that they estrange us from our nature and ourselves, instead of, the level of destruction that would actually bring that reconnection.
Well, we have to destroy the paradigms of this society, that's for sure. A belief system.
Yeah.
That needs to be destroyed.
Yeah, it's not doing us any, any real favors, just like, most things.
No. Yeah.
It's, a reason to not like people. And I just, yeah, it's maddening, because it's just like, God, we're better than this. Like, if we wanted to be, it seemed, just, again, just being a human myself, other people have to think this too. And again, like, getting past, like, the number of, people who just, kind of misled notion of, yes, there are so many people who want to do the right thing, but, there's more with understanding. And I guess, because like you're saying throughout, it's, it all comes back to conditioning. And, it's, if you can't, if there's no real way to break that down, I mean, what can anybody really anticipate things heading, and, what would be the right way? Because, I mean,
I was going to say, inevitably, someone, it really kind of starts with one. So when, one does it, another one will do it, and it'll blossom out, just like all the other things that happen that are contrived. It'll happen organically. And, who knows? Hopefully it'll be in our lifetime. But eventually, inevitably, it's going to happen. I mean, I believe that. I think eventually we'll transcend.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, it's, yeah, again, just patiently waiting, for things to get, to the way they should be is frustrating. It gets back to the whole ignorance is bliss thing.
Yes.
Quote unquote. But again, because in that ignorance, you would be accumulating so much negative energy and negative karma.
Yep.
That, again, there's that, double-sided everything.
Mhm.
Because I was, reading a while back, this idea of suffering, and its connection with the lust card. That suffering is something that is reserved for those with true understanding,
Mhm.
which I thought was really interesting.
Well, because you can breed empathy and compassion for others, unless you
Yes.
become a psychopath, where you lose your empathy and compassion and become egoistic, which is what most people are being taught to be.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Sorry.
Perspective is a fickle thing.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the part about suffering, which is really good, what you're talking about is, again, suffering makes us all realize we're sentient or sentient, whatever you want to say, to everything, just like, walking up, kicking a puppy, other people see that, be like, hey, what the fuck you doing? Don't kick the puppy.
Mhm.
That's because it's the right thing. And, it's a living being, and you just immediately, hey, but yet you'll say that, but you'll step over a homeless person who is like, fell down, and you're not helping them or needs food as you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there you go.
Yeah. But that's, something that people have to get over. But the suffering is good because it gives you compassion, gives you empathy. You relate. Once you start seeing things as extensions of yourself, you can't be stealing from yourself. That's retarded. So if you love other things as yourself, you are loving yourself. Therefore, nothing is separate from you. But people are too stupid due to their conditioning to know that. That's a
Agreed.
problem. Yeah. Sorry to go on a rant, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's totally fine, man. Rant away. Um, I feel like I've been so long-winded.
No. If I'm quiet, it's because I'm listening and digesting what you say. So if I get quiet, it's just I'm like, that's right. Yeah.
I see.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, I mean, because that, I guess, and that's, would definitely lend to, of my view of things is definitely, just a, whole, just myriad of, things being taken, um, and just circumstances being just, awful, ironic, in every sense of the way, to be able to, take things that so much energy has been put towards and building and, trying to accomplish, out, just in actual life, right? And, but it always being pushed down. And, always being, having just, numbers even, where you have these near death experiences and, well, why didn't I die?
Mm-hmm.
You start to, look, for what could be my purpose here? How can I actually,
Yep.
earn my weight, so to say? Or, what, some people just, go with the whole, it's all faded. And, what am I just building towards here? I'm being kept around till a specific point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they're talking about, all these, different celebrity deaths and the ritualistic nature of them. And,
Yep.
it's all in the works for, generations. To an extent, there has to, each and every person, has a designated time for whatever reason, right? Again, with that interconnectedness and, just how things ripple out, actions from people that, we'll never meet affect somebody that we're talking to, in that moment. And, even that we are talking to them,
Mm-hmm.
we start taking away those things at the specific times. Again, what is the purpose then? Say if I, to die, anytime soon here, it'd be like, okay, but like it's, you wonder, like, just, I don't know. I don't want to get too abstract here. Now let me hit the brakes.
No, you're right. Yeah. But also, there's, I mean, yeah, some of these people are being killed, and that's true. And then other people, one could argue that they're not being killed, that they step out of the limelight, and all these supposed deaths aren't really happening. So maybe they're alive. Maybe all these celebrities are allowed to have like a fountain of youth. Maybe they get to be able to be cloned. They live forever, so they still keep their karma going because they're not really dying, right?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's a really, interesting thing too, the whole kind of and death, where it's a staged endeavor.
Yep.
And and again, the whole ends justify the means, because you get people to look at something, and whenever you're looking at something, you're looking away from something else.
Yep.
And so again, just being able to control the narrative.
Yep.
It's interesting. You see it all the time, where things seem to be getting to a certain boiling point, and then we kind of get this nice distraction piece, whether death or whoever. 2016, it's kind of the thing that I feel is on the tip of most people's tongues is deaths. That we saw this year. And so it's like, well, with all of those, high profile deaths and, all of that energy and attention, that just speaks to the caliber of things that are going on, beyond that radar, and how important it is to keep as many people as possible kind of honed in on those sorts of ideas. And again, with us just being so rare in our, here in the States, and I guess a lot of Europe could kind of be included in a lot of this, just the way death is viewed.
Yes.
Is this very morbid affair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, all going towards something, and it is, kind of interesting too. Just thinking about that tarot spread on The Economist, and it ending with that 17th card, and us going right into the 17th year of this new millennium.
God. At 20 is death, so you got death and God.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's like, yeah,
referring to the 20 and the 17. Sorry.
I see it there, and yeah, and the 20 being such a massive number, the Aeon, the Judgment.
Yep.
Even looking at that card, it's XX, the 6-6.
Double death.
And I don't know. It's because it's weird. I'm just trying to articulate, and taking the time to do the videos and stuff. It's like I almost can't help it. Because it's about the purpose of it, and it's just like, what are you doing? I don't know. It has to be done.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
That sounds. But it's just like certain things. It's just like, well, this has to be brought up. This has to be discussed, even if it's a handful of people. That handful of people will benefit from it in a way that was important enough for it to have, for me to take the time to do it.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Well, your intent was good, so that's good energy.
Yeah. It's, right. It's such a double-edged thing, because, again, talking about all of this destruction with the best of intent.
But like you said perception, which you're right. If people start knowing this and see these things and break down, predict the programming and seeing all the coding and the symbology and all that, that'll change the perception. And all that terrible stuff won't happen then, because people's perceptions will change and it won't manifest. But right now, their powers to be and all that shit, be it aliens, be it 13 white families, whatever the hell it is, they have this contrived narrative. That's a paradigm that's instilling in us this manifest destiny bullshit, fate that there's nothing we can do. We're all gonna die and all this shit. Well, then that's what's gonna happen if we keep manifesting it to a certain extent anyway. But people's perceptions change, like you said, that won't manifest, obviously.
Yeah, manifest destiny. Just to bring it up, is the same as the Trump train.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tied to Satanism too in some way. I'll check the coding, but I'm sure it is, because that's just like duality. It's nothing. It's either this or that. Period. It's nothing else. Well, that's not logical. That's not discerning. Yeah. Well, that's logic. It's not discerning.
Yeah, it's tied in with Brotherhood of Darkness.
Yeah, there you go.
The Trump train is 13 letters. Nice death card. And you get order out of chaos as well.
Nice. 13 sacrifice. So that's good. Nice.
Yeah, because you're right. That manifest destiny concept. I mean, that's a keystone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting too because I've got this pulled up, and January 15th is a date that's coded in with that. Because there's that. That's right.
Yeah, Freemasons. Yeah. Seal of Saturn or something like that.
Law and Order, all of those things start coming up. It's, interestingly enough too, as the same day that the Tool song, the single Schism was released. I'm remembering that right. But again, just all about division.
Oh yeah. The basis of Satan. Well, one of the bases of Satanism.
Yeah, and it is interesting because I do see here it's got coding for economic meltdown, and having that January 15th, that would be then the day before Sade's birthday on the 16th, we were talking about earlier. Yeah, and that's the 16th comes back with all of that Lord of Illusion, as well as Obama's rise to power, the Large Hadron Collider, conspiracy theory. But yeah, really was all of that in there. Because here, this is what I was looking for to see if. So it's interesting that the 15th and the 16th for January. For January 16th, I have Barack Obama financial crisis. And then for January 15th is economic meltdown. And so that is, I mean, the whole, even the whole month of January, if we were to look at, January 1st of 2017, because now 2017 we get a 10 or a 1, depending on how we want to look at it. But if we do that 1110, I mean, that's that whole masterpiece ion bit again, and Donald John Trump and the star, perfect illusion, all those things emerging on that day 1 there.
January 1st, 1/1/11. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fat just 11.
Yeah. 27. Well, January sums to 27. Faked is like 27. Code is like 27.
Yeah, and 27 is definitely, I mean, that's one of the numbers I feel that they use to mock people the most.
Yeah.
Invert it, is that 72 was the age of Crowley when he died.
Oh, okay.
It's also the age of John Wayne. And if I'm not mistaken, the number of demons in the thing, even the Simpsons love to throw that number in everybody's faces. Yeah, 27, and of course we get that nice 99 if we mirror and invert it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm just kind of rambling at this point.
No, not at all. Sorry. Yeah. It's deep. The rabbit hole is deep.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, and again, just, respective channel is such a wealth of information for people, to just, look into things and, together for whatever it's worth to them.
Yep.
I don't know, for, you just, it gets into, it just gets into such obscurity, I feel, after a while. You know, when you're trying to like justify, and it's just like, I just have to do it. I just have, you know, I just see it. Of all the things that I could be seeing, I'm always seeing.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Why? Why? Should motivate some people.
Mm-hmm. Just simple question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll all get to see, you know, because yeah, you just get, you know, frustrated just seeing it. Everything here is kind of set up to be restrictive and boring and, you know, dualistic and, you know, whatever. And, you know, you can only imagine, you know, being, you know, from an older, you know, not too old of a generation, but, you know, one, you know, who, when you get to this age, you know, 16, 17 here in your 80s or so. Yeah. And, you know, just thinking to yourself, you know, and yet, Jesus Christ, you know, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just keep it on that edge, on that precipice.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many times
Yeah.
there's certain, you know, just imagine that, because that, I guess that's just more energy, you know, that frustration.
Yeah. Crazy not. I mean, I won't go into it too much, but as crazy as it sounds, that energy of keeping people in that, you know, pain all the time and angst is supposedly correlated to the draconians, where they live off of, they get a lot of sustenance off the energy of pain and suffering of humans and the death and all that. So if they are controlling society, as I've argued, and that goes into the bloodlines and these hybrids, and that goes into cloning and all that other shit, that would explain why at least the United States, but really the whole world, is in that type of mindset of there's all this pain and suffering, and everyone's gonna die all the time, and you're gonna die, and you got to do this, and you got to pay your bills, and everything's restricted by time, and oh my god, and stress, and all this crazy shit. That's not living. That's why I tell everyone that the whole system is crazy. You know, money and all that. I know people love money, and I'm telling you, it's all contrived. If we were on a different, you know, transcendence, we wouldn't that all that shit would be like plebeian to us. We'd be like, that's like slinging shit at each other in a cave. Like, why are we concerned with money and being a slave to time and work and giving money to the government that takes it and uses it against us? What kind of shit is that? It keeps us enslaved. Money was invented to enslave us, period. So why the hell would anyone want to be in that? That's your, and then, you know, that goes back into why, but that goes into that very abstract point I made of that reptilians are some alien species, because I don't believe it's just a bunch of white families, 13 white families. I think they're a part of it, but I think it's something deeper. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, you know, when you look at the extent that all this stuff really goes to, especially with coding and stuff, I mean, it does seem to transcend basic human thought to be able to set all of that up.
Yeah. I my argument is all the coding is J2 AI, the computer, where it has access to everything. Like, you know, because, you know, you find a tremendous amount of stuff, but compared to a computer, even a limited one, not AI, but I think it's artificial intelligence, but even to a computer that's got a multitude more of knowledge of history, of dates and angles and meridian lines and people and when they were born, and the meanings of this symbology and this ancient civilization and astrology and these planets that are aligned at this time of the day on this solstice, all that shit is correlated. But, you know, you see a tremendous amount as it is, but that's like small compared to what it really is, because you don't have the access to all that other knowledge. It's just that you don't have it. No one, you know, none of us have it. Some whatever is scripting all this has all that knowledge. The all, you know, like all the Star of David, the all seeing eye, all that bullshit. That to me has all the knowledge. That's why it can code all this shit and contrive all this shit and push all this shit, and why social mediums are so important, especially in the last 20 years, and everyone joining them and going on Facebook and telling them the world about themselves and where they work and how much money they make and putting pictures of their children on. All that's getting data based and shit. I think that's all tied into J2 AI, which again, to me, is tied into this coding, because I can't believe it's not a person or a couple Hebrew guys, Zionists, sitting in a corner figuring all this. This has got to be done by a supercomputer, and I would argue, you know, artificial intelligence at that point.
Agreed. I mean, and, you know, potentially right in conjunction with, you know, some other, you know, far evolved past, you know, our capability, way of seeing things.
Yeah.
And and it's with a lot of the the draconian stuff, and it's something that like it's like at least that makes sense enough in that there's nothing else to me that could explain the stagnancy that we've seen from doing the right things, from not keeping people in that state of just perpetual fear and guilt over what's happening to the world and awaiting what I mean, some sort of apocalyptic outcome. Because right, if humans were behind the wheel, they'd be like, well, Jesus, we don't need to have it be that bad.
That's right. Yeah.
It makes our lives harder.
Yes. It also explains why all the ancient civilizations supposedly died or disappeared. Most of them just disappeared. It would also explain a lot of the reptilian symbology that's out there. It also explains our great fascination with dinosaurs, the great lizard, right? It explains a lot of that stuff. Not that I'm saying I'm 100% right. I'm just saying, but when I've done my research, it just seems, maybe it's logical. Maybe I'm using too logical. I think it's discerning, but it just seems to fall into place. It would explain why we're always suffering. It would explain why, dinosaurs, we have this fascination with them. It would explain why there's so many, TV shows and movies made of dinosaurs and and reptilians and Godzilla and the TV show The Dinosaurs and the Flintstones and all that shit, and why every kid loves reptiles and dinosaurs and shit. So it would explain a lot of that, but maybe that's all part of the game, but I don't think so. But
no, I mean, I think that's a great set of observations, because when you look, just kind of historically, like when did all that come into play? I mean, it's very recent stuff. That's enabled the mediums for all of that to really be projected out. And so, anything that they're putting on those definitely for a major purpose. Right, whether it be just simply desensitizing people to things or showing them things so that they can actually comprehend it does come to pass, and this disasters or aliens or beasts from the sea or whatever comes out, there's context, and they know to fear it. I mean, I don't know how many people could see some monster rise from the sea and be like, all right, like this guy could
do.
But to show like this, be afraid of this. Even like you look at something like Jaws, people say it always tops out, it's one of the greatest kind of horror suspense movies of all time, and it's this giant beast in the sea that you just a lot of people just don't see as it's coming up to get you, but just creating that inherent fear of things in the water. And you look at, and this, we get back to, you're saying, oh, we only went to the moon once. Why the hell is that? And it's like, I feel that opens up the, the questions for like, well, if, if we went to the moon, why the hell is, like 90% of the ocean unexplored? Wouldn't we be able to figure out the pressure and create something that could explore that? Because right, if that's the majority of the Earth, figure we'd want to know what is going on down there.
That's right.
And there's the idea that oh well, we know exactly what's going on down there.
That's right.
And you, my friend, will see in good time.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2/3 of the planet supposedly is water. It's supposedly all undiscovered, and we don't have the technology to go down there. Just like we can't go to the Antarctica. That whole portion, the cap is like no one can go there, and all this shit, and no one knows what's there, and all this crazy stuff. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes.
And that's actually like blocked off, right? Like I hear
supposedly they say, well, no, you can go there. That's a lie. That's disinformation. You can go there. Well, yeah, you can apply to go there, but you have to go there yourself. And if they say you go there on your own, you go there, we don't know about it. You get lost, die, not our problem. So no one goes there. The only people that go there are like government officials, and you can't have weapons there. There can't be any testing there. I think virtually every country in the world signed a treaty in like 1940 that said, oh yeah, no problem. And we're all fighting with each other, but somehow they all sat down and said, yeah, Antarctica, no problem. Let's smoke some weed. It's okay. How did that happen? That makes no sense. And then you can't see anything in there. And then the moon, when you were talking about the moon, like we only see one side of it. Why is it only one side? If all the planets are supposed to be rotating and spinning, why the fuck do we only see one side of the moon? That makes no sense. And then they say, oh, the sun's 93 million miles away and the earth is spinning thousands of miles an hour. It's like, okay, right. Right.
And there's, yeah, thing about when you're saying about the treaty back in the 40s there,
The ATS.
I remember seeing all sorts of information linking a bunch of things that Hitler was doing out there.
Oh, yeah.
As far as just these, right, super secretive experiments and, Lord knows, underground.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
I can only imagine, frankly.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a few like really massive underground like structures,
Mhm.
and they are very impressive.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
just the whatever, the hole that goes into it, the
yeah,
cavern. You're not
and that's
seeing the
somewhere
actual,
I'm
it's on the
allowed.
other side.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't even imagine, the ones that are, like this is like the for real, like almost like the panic room.
Yeah.
But just everything, farming going on down
Oh,
there,
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Could be in the oceans
whole,
too. Oceans,
yeah.
mountains, like all the cliffs and shit. There's so much land out there. That's why this concept that they push about, oh, there's not enough land. There's too many people. There's not enough food. There's not enough air. The sun's going in. The polar caps are melting. We have to reduce people. It's all bullshit. That is such all bullshit to be saying that our carbon footprint is destroying. There's too much carbon monoxide. The fucking plants, the trees need that or they die, and then we won't be alive. So that whole concept is a bullshit. But anyway, sorry, went off on a
Yeah, no
tangent.
worries, man.
It's just such bullshit that they just try to convince everyone that there's too many people on this planet. How the fuck are there too many people on this planet? 2/3 of the planet is water. How the fuck are there too many people? We don't go in the water. We don't know the water. All these cliffs and mountains and shit. They say we can't go in, and there's nothing there. But then it comes out and tons of documents that have been come out about all these underground military bases and cities and shit, and that they can travel underground to the other parts of the earth, the other side of the earth. I mean, maybe some of that's fantastical, but why wouldn't that be there? Especially if an alien species took us over and is running our reality, they'd be hundreds of years more advanced than us. So they would keep us in the doghouse, like just give us like little kernels, and we're like, oh wow, we got a phone and it flips open, and we could
Mhm.
look at ourselves. Now we have things that take pictures and so forth and so on. So I don't know. It just seems that something else is going on.
Oh yeah, and I mean any of the technology, right? I mean that we have access to is ancient.
Yeah.
Those who are actually developing it.
Yeah.
And anything that we're made aware of in the scientific community,
Yep.
again, either old news or misleading news.
That's right. Yep.
And it is weird to think about, like imagining, being a millennial, and if your whole existence, all of this technology is here.
Mhm.
What a bizarre, I feel, kind of life to be born into. Where it is a world of social media, and memes and Family Guy, and you know what I mean, like, but that kind of era.
Yeah. Falsity. False reality.
Yeah, and nothing's surprising, nothing's interesting. um how do you up the ante? But that's like, because that it seems like they did a good job in actually creating what they were looking to, that army of apathy, that just kind of, I feel, ultimately accepts everything, and is unwilling to change it. What the hell do you do with that? um I mean, it just seems like it just brings, like, I mean, literal, like a human farm. Like there's no other, like, what purpose would that human have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Matrix alluded to that. So, if we are sustenance for another species, then like what we do that to cattle, and, the Zionists call us, the goyim. So we're cattle, sheeple to those people, and that could be a very poignant metaphor to exactly the whole human race that could have been easily taken over. 98% of our DNA is supposedly turned off. Does that make any sense? Would nature turn off 98% of the DNA in a species it created? Does that make sense?
Makes zero sense.
That makes absolutely no sense. So, just there's just I don't know. I can go on, but yeah, it's just
I know.
it's just unfortunate. It's like we keep saying the same thing. It's just unfortunate how dense people are. Something must have turned off our DNA. Why is our pineal gland stunted with fluoride? Et cetera, et cetera. Why is there so much poisons in all the food we eat and all that? Why do we die younger and younger? Why do, if you look at any ancient civilizations, you don't read or hear anything about they had terrible teeth and they had tons of incest going on and they had everyone was fighting and killing each other. I mean, some civilizations, yeah, Romans and all that shit, but for the most part, all these other ancient civilizations, they got along with each other, and you don't have any of these records of terrible disease and viruses going through them. So why is it so prevalent in our society, especially in the past few hundred years? Makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's a excellent set of points there.
Yeah.
But we accept it.
That's right. I gotta watch me some basketball. People are distraction, worried about stupid shit that don't mean anything, to fucking sellouts. Celebrities, musicians, most of them are fucking sellouts, and they sell out fucking humanity because they know what they're doing is wrong, and they'll go out and sign that contract with the devil and make all the money, and they don't give a shit, and they get induced bad karma. But they're like, most of them are psychopaths at that point. You have to be a real shit person to sell out a bunch of other people, knowing that you're taking shit from them on a lie. Even if you're like selling music and you're taking millions and millions of dollars, but you're going to be doing satanic shit. So then you're pushing Satanism, even if you're not wanting to do it. If you're going to conform and you're going to do it, so that makes you no better. So then you're just as worse as one of these Satanists. Even if you don't molest a child and shit, you're still promoting all this shit, and the kids don't know and the parents don't know. That's selling humanity out. How could you do that if you have a consciousness, if you understand empathy and compassion from suffering? How could you do that to another human being or another living thing knowingly, right?
Yeah, you simply wouldn't be able to.
No, you have to have no conscience. You have to be a psychopath. You have to have no empathy towards someone. Then you can go shoot someone and walk away. That's why so many of these people in power are like, they're crazy. And a lot of these stock companies, they hire psychopaths because they're ruthless, and they'll make the money any way they can. They'll sell out 1,800 homeless 1,880-year-old people that are in a home because they say, hey, I'll rip that house down and make $18 million. Fuck those people. And they don't even think twice about it. They go home and fuck their wife, drink coffee, watch TV. No compassion. That's not a normal person. That's a person with a deep psychosis, a pathology, someone who's not wired right and probably never can be rewired correctly. They lack that. But you can also get that effect through a lot of heavy conditioning too.
Totally. I mean, yeah, that gets back to the whole, I feel like one of my big dilemmas here is, with that being the state of things, outside of a major just eradication of all of that energy, how on earth could you possibly get rid of it? And there's, so much built into acquiring it.
Yeah. I mean, probably a lot of people will die, but I mean, I guess, it's simplistic, but it's kind of like Neo in the Matrix, when the bullets were being shot at him and he said no. And, that's when people say no and they've had enough, all the slavery, there was one person that said, no, you're not fucking whipping me today. Today it stops, and that person might die, but then someone else stands up, and then someone else, and then you have a bunch of people. So yeah, there probably will be a lot of people that are going to die, but it doesn't have to be as bad as, prophecy of, losing 90% of humanity. And it doesn't have to be that bad. It could be, unfortunately, a certain amount of lost life, and that's not great. But the way maybe good karma is when you honor those people that die for a reason and they give their lives to the betterment of other people or unselfishly, they have good karma anyway, but you can honor them by saying, well, they died for, saving this child's life. I'm going to die for saving someone else's life. And, I'm not doing it to get something out of it, but that's the right way to be. And I find that something admirable, and I'd like to have that in me or do that myself. That's the way people need to be.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me, and it kind of reminds me of what you're saying earlier about people having to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And there it is, right? Case in point, you can wipe out several million of you in a way to make you think about what's been going on.
Yep.
and what you've been allowing and what you've been turning your eyes to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, outside of taking away people's opportunity to live that decadent life, not much else will really grab attention.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, when you look at the way they present, something like ISIS or whatever it's presented as right now.
Yeah.
All the extreme groups, and of course they're actually out there, but these really obviously fabricated ones, but they never, you figure America's a sitting duck in most ways.
Mm.
There's never a strike where you would expect it.
Mm.
Or at a time that would like kind of make sense to really rattle the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Like folks looking into like, stuff that would happen on Christmas, like, yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yep.
America's guard is down. Most people are at home. They're not paying attention to shit.
Yep.
Why on earth, and thinking about the, and again, if they're, beings feeding off of this energy,
yep.
Like you would magnify that, 50-fold, if you actually started blowing things up on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if there's so much, religious hatred and all the, why not? If there's just so much intolerance towards, us and our light, like it's just, biding our time, biding their time. They kind of do these little, piss in the pan, cyber things here and again, it seems, or, these real, arguably super staged shootings.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me doesn't speak to the caliber of what they present them as and how ruthless they are. And how infrequent, it is that we're, that something noteworthy, quote unquote noteworthy, makes it to the news. I just feel like, again, just speaks to like how easily everyone's, willing to just accept anything and not really question it.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, Claude, you sound so, pessimistic. You want America to be attacked more? And it's, it's like, well, if they're saying it's as bad as it is, then yeah. Like, cause otherwise we're just lying here. It's this huge enemy that we have, and we always got to be vigilant. Well, why doing anything? Like, why is it so important that I be so afraid of them?
That's right. Preoccupied with that shit.
Yeah, because I can't think of one good reason.
Yeah, and they've been doing that for, I don't know, 100 years or something, 80 years, at least 100 years. 80
yeah,
years.
Easy.
And they just keep people, or a couple hundred years, and they just keep people being preoccupied with, a boogeyman, that we have to have a military to protect us. Yeah, we protect our freedoms. We need a military. That's how our country was founded. It's crazy.
Yeah, now with Russia, I mean, people, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Swearing vengeance on them and getting all the diplomats out of here.
Yeah.
Whatever, of course.
Such bullshit.
Yeah, there's 35 of them.
Yeah, just so happens.
That nice.
35.
Yeah. Nice limitation number, and inverted 53 again.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, just absurd.
Yeah. This year.
All right, brother.
All right, brother. It was great talking to you.
Man, thank you. Yeah, thank you for taking the time.
No
much joy out of that as I did.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Hope I didn't bore you at the times I decided to speak.
No, not at all, man. That was excellent. I mean, that's why I enjoy talking with you, because
yes, I enjoy talking to you.
I feel, that your channel is out here that I'm convinced is a actual just person, I can talk to.
Yes.
It's not judgmental or this or that.
Yeah.
Actually shares very like-minded interests and ways of viewing things, and it helps to kind of expand and refine my lens and my perspective. So yeah, very, very greatly appreciated. I know it's late over there.
Oh, no problem. And I really appreciate the in-depthness that your work that you do. It's I watch all the videos, and it's crazy. Sometimes it's like, wow, so such correlations. I feel like I have to should probably do more. But just as an artistic point of all the things and how you correlate everything, it's really, really great. I don't mean any bullshit. Just seriously, it's really pretty crazy the findings you come up with and how you can correlate this to that. It's really it's wild.
Well, I really
Stunning.
appreciate that, man. Yes, just stunning. Yeah, I mean, it's good, for me to hear that it does resonate with somebody, who, again, understands a lot of this stuff and, seeks to understand more of it. And, that I'm not, just, too aimlessly with it. But, yeah, I do really appreciate that. And again, because, it's just, still a pretty, underviewed channel. But, again, knowing that, you're one of the handful of people out there that's, really, gravitating and understanding and, building off of all this stuff. It's like, all right, all for a purpose. And, that's good energy there. So I'm glad, I'm inspiring people that, inspire me. And so, it's a nice, just well-rounded little thing we've got going there.
Yeah. No, that's what I was trying to say. The information you find is great. It's so informative to watch the videos and listen to them and can reference them as well. And, the things you tie in. So I probably made it too short, but, it makes me think. So that's the best way. It's just so many things of perspectives. I'm like, shit, I should have thought of that. Or, wow, I don't know about this and don't know about that. But then via listening to you, I learned from it. So it's very informative. So I always appreciate that. It's the same thing I said, a couple of years ago when we first started talking channels I like or channel I can learn from.
Yeah, I mean, that's, there's no other reason to watch the videos.
Yeah, there you go. Right on the nose.
You don't want to hear somebody talk about some, the exact, pretty much carbon copy of what you just got done reading.
Yep.
You want to hear someone, actually do something with it. Make it real. Actually, connect, because it's, it's like the whole deck is, getting to a point of, where they actually become this living, kind of thing that you're interacting with. The gematria stuff, I feel, is the exact same way. Where, you develop that connection over enough time and, dedication to refining the craft, where, it turns into this, kind of, living, set of energy that you are in fact like communicating with.
Yes. Yeah.
And, able to attempt to interpret.
Yeah.
And, and again, if other people can start seeing it and interacting with that energy too, then that's all the better.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I know this one was a long time in the making here, trying to get our schedules to line up. Again, speaking to just right, that's real people.
That's right.
Yes, hey, sometimes it takes a long time, but it's one of those things where, hey, when it's supposed to happen, we'll have a chance to sit down, actually have a conversation that means something.
That's right. Totally organic, the best way.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, if you ever, want to pull up a chair again, be happy to. It's definitely rusty coming into this one. It's just, trying to, with all the toggling and whatnot, see if I can't figure out how I could actually just show my screen.
Yep.
Kind of just keep it more of the rapid fire that usually the videos are kind of structured around. But yeah, otherwise, man, let me know. And 2017 here.
Death God.
Yeah, that's all we need to know.
Shit.
That's it. I mean, Santa's little helper.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk soon, and hopefully we'll work on the Blade Runner thing, but I know you're busy, so, but we'll, it'll just, like you were saying, it'll just manifest when it manifests.
Exactly when it's supposed to. And right. Yeah, it'll definitely be revealing in the way only time could have shown us at that period.
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, be well.
All right.
Yeah, and I'll definitely stay in touch here.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, brother. Be well, be safe, take care of yourself.
Man, you too. And hey, Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year. Merry Satan to you.
And a merry Satan to you.
Thank you. All right, brother. Take care. Namaste.
You too, man.
Bye, brother.